Alright. Hello everybody and welcome to the Kappa Council episode 9 it is actually. God, already 9 episodes of this Faeria podcast has been done, and we're considering this season 2. I'm doing that with quotations because we did do this podcast back in 2013 when Faeria was a little child. It was a concept on Kickstarter with a prototype that we played in our web browsers and memories, but what is that like? So 3 years later, we're here doing another go at this podcast thing. Episode 9 already. It's pretty cool, pretty exciting. And with me, as always, Scorch13, also from Metagamingtv, and today's guest, honored guest here is Cappuccino, one of the streamers, one of the best players, one of the commentators. Like, you basically do everything you can do in Faeria as a content creator, player. Yeah, you're like all over the place. Tell everybody who you are and what you do, but also where they can find you.
Hey guys, it's Cappuccino on Twitch is where you can find me, and I try and get around, try and do different things with casting and streaming and all that stuff, and it's a lot of fun. But right now you can just find me on It's Cappuccino, and I also have a YouTube. I think the YouTube name is also It's Cappuccino.
You don't even know. I think. That's awesome. So. I just wanted to be like, what's more fun at this stage? Like, you've started doing a lot of casting now. Are you leaving the pro scene, or are you trying to do both?
Well, it's nice to have this backup. Now if I get eliminated early in the tournament, I can just offer to cast and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. When there's not enough manpower.
I have a fail-safe now.
That's true. That's
Make
true.
that easy transition.
I mean, you're really good at it too. I've been watching just here and there in the monthly qualifiers because I haven't been able to be available so much myself at the times that they happen. But you're really good at it. Props to you. Maybe you should just stop playing the game and just cast everything. Because you're really good at that. But you're also really good at playing the game. You're one of the people who come to my stream at times and interact and coach me in how to do Pandora and stuff like that. And the funniest deck I've ever played is the one that I call Capu Blue because of Cappuccino and Blue with Luduans and stuff like that. That's also something you invented. So if people have been watching my stream and they've seen me play Blue, it's most likely Cappuccino's list. How did you thought of using Luduan in that? Like, how did? Because nobody was using Luduan before you used it, I think.
I know when Hitham came back for like a brief moment. I mentioned Hitham. Probably no one even remembers him. He came back and he PM me. He's like, "So is everyone playing Ludian? Because this card seems broken." I'm like, "No. Everyone's just playing yellow. It's just it's too good, right?" And after the changes to yellow with the nerf on vampire and stuff. And with the Pantheon format as well, you can't just do only yellow. You need to do other colors. So I wanted to experiment with blue, and I remembered that Ludian is this really, really strong card. So I'm like, all right, let's see if I can make it work. Yeah. And I had some success with it and decided to share it.
Yeah, I've looked
at a pretty insane amount of value.
Yeah, like ever since they made it, because Ludian used to be, if we're going back a bit, Ludian used to be a card that gave double Faeria when gathering. Before they changed it into what it is now, which is add a random blue card that gets discounted. How much is it? By 2?
I think it's by 2.
Yeah, and sure, it's a random effect, but even like looking at it, you're like, well, if you can like safely trigger this early on, like just that discount on a few of the or most of the blue cards would still be a very good discount. It would be great. You still get the Faeria. You have that creature on the board. Like, I've been looking at it, been like, I've just been waiting for somebody to be like, oh, here's a way to play it, and I think Cappuccino did, and I thought it was great. It was great fun. I climbed a few ranks with it too, so that was really fun. And then I hit a brick wall, like I always do.
You always hit that right at the edge of God rank.
Well, yeah, like I'm rank 2 now, and it's frustrating. Like the last 2 days, I've been like, okay, I'll play a few ranked games, and I'll be like, win one, lose one, win one, lose one, and I'm like, and then I win two, and I'm like, okay, if I win one more, I get that extra star because it's a streak, and then I'll lose. I'm like, it's just so frustrating. So yeah, it's really hard to climb those last steps. At least with
as it should be.
At least with the as it should be. At least with the lists that I have. But like like one of my viewers said, like I was playing, I think yesterday I think it was yesterday actually. And being at rank 2, you do face a lot of god ranks, and I face like, god rank number 18 or 19 or something, and I think I faced him once. And I lost. It was an even game, but I lost. And as soon as I see a god rank, I'm usually like, oh, it's gonna be tough. They're always good, and I was running good shit. Like, I don't know. I get a little bit like, oh, this is tough. Like, it feels tough already before I even play them. And then I face another god rank, and I beat him. And then I faced the rank 18 or 19 guy again, and I beat him. Well, he gave up very early. I didn't feel like I won, but he gave up. And like, one of the guys in Twitch, they're like, well, there you go, you defeated the god rank, like one of the best players. And I'm like, well, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I don't celebrate so much when I do win. I just like, every win feels like a struggle. Every win feels like a battle. So, as it should, I guess. It's really fun. It's really fun. We are going to get into today's topics. It was just fun to get that off my chest. It's hard to get God rank. But I really want to get to God rank. I think it's my goal to try and get God rank this season, which I realize is 3 more days. Fuck. Alright.
Well, it should be another week, right?
Well, when did I reset? Oh, it's the first Monday, right?
First Monday.
Right.
Oh, it's a whole yes! It's a whole week.
So it should be the 5th.
Alright, I have time. I really want to get God rank once. Like, I don't. That's the thing. I don't grind ladder so much. It's not. I don't find grinding the ladder fun. That's the problem. Like, I want to play fun stuff, and so like that's why Pandora just feels like such a great thing. But talking about ladder and stuff like that. All right. The meta right now, like, let's do that first. We'll just go over the meta a little bit, but we're also gonna want to go through the latest patch, or the latest balance patch. So it's the patch from the 16th. We're gonna go through. So there's a lot of changes in there, so we're gonna go through that. But 1 sec. Okay, it sounded like somebody was talking to me in the background, but she's on the phone. I'm like, are you hearing me now? She said. I'm like, is she talking to me? Alright. Distractions. So where is the meta at currently? Like, so I'll just say that when I play ladder now, I bring my green rush, which might not be the strongest or anything, and there's a few variations, but it just feels really, it's fun. That's why I bring it. It's really fun with the green rush, and obviously it's because of the new the Runin's Messenger.
The Messenger, yeah.
And I also, I still, basically I try and mind game here. Because when I play ladder off stream, usually, when that happens, it's like late as fuck, and very few people are playing, so I'll see the same person like twice before I see a new person. So I'll be like green rush, and then I'll do red rush to throw them off. Right? Yeah. I'll red rush and green rush. That's my two. Yeah, I go face. I just am rushing right now, and that's the two decks that I play. Yeah, what do you guys play, and what do you feel is the strongest, or where's the meta at, I guess is the question. Who wants to start?
I'll take it, because then Cap can give his god rank opinion afterwards.
Oh yeah, what rank are you, Scorch?
Right.
I'm at 8 now, 9 or 8.
But you haven't played much ranked this.
I haven't played much ranked.
Yeah,
I just hit god rank in Pandora last week to show how much Pandora I've been playing.
There you go, exactly.
But I've seen Yellow Rush still pretty popular, but it's kind of like, I don't know if it's even Rush or like the mid-range, but it's still, they're going right at your face, right? So I've seen some of the new blue that's popped up since the new patch. I haven't seen too much Three Wishes actually recently.
I haven't seen
and then
any.
I've actually seen some red-green popping up, and I don't know if it's just people experimenting, myself included. It's one of my favorite decks to play. the one that I've been playing. I ran through all of the solo content with the red-green deck that I've been playing around with, but I saw one this morning that was basically a red-green taunt deck. It's like had the elementals, it had the ogre battlers, living willow, basically everything in the 2 that had taunt, and then some buffs and the red damage stuff. So I still think it's really healthy, even with basically the death of that yellow control because of the nerfs to vampire specifically, but the ghoul also hurt, right? So that yellow is just gone, it seems like.
Yeah.
It really feels very healthy meta right now, where you're seeing a lot of different things. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case climbing at lower levels and then up in God rank, right? I'm kind of right in the middle, so I'm not sure what it is on the 2 ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, rank 8 will be facing down to 18, I guess, right?
Yeah, you kind of face a good, like a broad stroke, right? But if you're up in like the 25 to maybe even down to 15, a lot of people tend to play rush decks because even if you lose, you still get through games quicker, so you have a higher percentage chance of winning more games and actually climbing. So I don't know if I'm just right in the middle where people are kind of experimenting, especially around that rank 10 too, when you're at another safe point, right?
Yeah.
So
that's true. Cappuccino, what do you think?
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Now is not a good time to be experimenting with Wandering Monk because
with Wandering
if you've
Monk.
seen the ladder, everyone is playing Royal Judge. Like yellow control has started to tech it in. Blue decks are running it. I even saw a red burn list with Royal Judge. I was like,
yeah,
what?
I've seen that.
What
every
are you doing?
God.
I'm hating that part.
Yeah, it's just everywhere right now. So, you don't really want to be messing around with Wandering Monks.
It's so interesting how this happens. Like you'll be like, like a month ago, like you would be like, is Royal Judge good? People would be like, and all of a sudden somebody just like, wait a second, and everybody's trying it. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But it fits into so many spots, right? Like,
I mean, it's the utility. It's the utility.
Yeah, it's utility of it. It's the big thing. So.
Yeah. The choice: do I want a safeguard or a punishment?
Yeah. So I've been seeing a lot of different blue variants. Most of them with Royal Judges. Some of them have started to tech in Ground Shakers and Garridan to be like a splash with red, but a lot of blue in the meta right now. It's probably the most things you encounter. And then red burn, and then very few yellow rush. I've actually seen more green and more red rush, but I think yellow rush is still the stronger deck. And yeah, as you were saying, like yellow control's kind of died. I still think it's one of the most powerful decks in the game right now, but no one is playing it.
Are people tired?
They're
They're just trying new stuff. Do you think that's it? Like,
I think people are struggling to find the replacement for Vampire, and so they're just wanting to test out all these different blue things that are starting to come out.
Yeah. I haven't seen a single yellow rush. I haven't seen like much yellow at all. And I am ranked 2, so I'm facing like every second player's God rank. And what else have I seen? Yeah, you said it. Like, I was facing this guy. I'm like, oh, he's blue, and he drops a mountain. I'm like, what? Okay. And then like another mountain, and then Garudan. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where did that come from? But I was like, I mean, I saw the mountain, but I was like, what is this? It's just, I was not expecting it, and I think that was the only red card I saw was like him dropping a Garuda. I was just like, all right, okay. But yeah, blue. Do you call it blue control, or is it like mid range? Like, where do you put it?
I just call it blue 7-cost synergy decks. I mean, it's not really like a control deck because quite often you actually just rush, and like when you're up against red burn, you'll be very aggressive with your lands. When you're up against something like yellow control, you might just build to both sides of your orbs. Like, it's really situational, and I guess I'm
rushing all the time, so it feels like
cards.
control when they're playing against me, because they'll be defending and just stopping my rush.
Yeah. If you're rushing them, they'll
I'm like, it feels like they're controlling me.
Because the only like control-y card that it runs is like Phantasm. I guess maybe Aurora counts into that, but it doesn't run Frogify, it doesn't run Humbling Visions, cards that you would normally equate to being control-y in the blue.
Right. It just tries to flood the board, or just put a Phantasm on your face if you're too defensive. So
blue is a tempo deck. according to Raxa in Twitch chat. All right. We need better names for our decks as a community. It's disgraceful. Duct tape. That's a good name.
That's
red green.
Because the red green.
So what does the red green do then that you're running?
It does a lot of things. It does them really well. But the red green that I'm running, it's basically the underground brigand and boss early, so that you can fight whatever your opponent's harvesting with and regain Faeria as you go. Mm-hmm. And then it runs Beastmaster and then like Verteran Force. I basically just wanted to put something together to play Warstorm Champion. Because I love that card in Pandora, and it just doesn't really fit in anything in Constructed. So it's basically like a fight early, and then you get these massive creatures on board with the Beastmaster synergy. It works pretty well against a lot of things. It's got the Silent Horse Master in it to surprise people. So
yeah, I didn't see that card for a little bit, and then on the ladder I'm playing against someone. I think. Yeah, I can't remember what color he was running, but it was just, it was that thing where I'm like, I think I got this. Like, you're 7/7. Yeah, who was green? So I'm like, you're 7/7 return first. I got this. It's all right. And then the next turn he drops the Silent Horsemaster, and the 7/7 is in my face. I'm like, God dang it, And I should have known. I mean, that's one of the tricks you running that, I guess, but still.
Yeah, and that's like. One of the reasons that the old yellow control was so good. It had all those movement tricks in it. And the blue is now showing the same sort of thing. You can move your lands around and get those different movement tricks to outmaneuver your opponents. So, blue and red don't have those same things available. So the Horsemaster really fits that niche.
Right. Yeah.
So is the current meta good then? I mean, Scorch said he likes it. What do you think, Cappuccino? Is the current meta, you like it as it is now, or are you like, is there anything you would like to change?
Well, I'm a bit worried because I think some decks are underrepresented right now. So, while everyone's flooding with blue, I don't necessarily think it's the best. So I'm really worried we might have a 3-wish deck start rising, and then we'll see lots of 3-wish, and that would be really boring, I think. But,
Yeah, you think there is a 3-wish deck that just hasn't been used or utilized yet?
Yeah, I think there's very competitive blue lists that just aren't being played on the ladder because, no one really wants to practice 3-wish when in a Pantheon format you're kind of stuck with how you do your decks. If you put all your 8s in one basket, you might get punished for doing that. So a lot of people like to just avoid 3-wish in general. And I think if more people were testing around with it, it'd be a lot more popular on the ladder. But as long as blue and yellow keep getting as much play as they're getting, I mean, yellow's not really getting played, but as long as blue keeps getting played, it's very fast-paced games. I really like blue.
Yeah. After the blue list I tried from you, because I've never really wrapped my head around blue so much. It's I don't know. It's too much tricks and too much jumping, and I'm like, and then I played that Ludon list, and I was just like, hey, blue is great, blue's fun, blue's cool. But it took me a bit to get used to at least that list. But yeah, my favorite color is green. Make green great again.
Yeah, I mean, even Green Rush has improved. Like, I actually really like.
I wish it wasn't just Rush though. Like, I wish we could do more than just feel like sitting here, and go like, well, I'm gonna Rush.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Sometimes I'm like I miss the times when games took 30 minutes and you were battling over the board. But yeah.
Oh no.
Well.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I miss that. But. I don't know. Rush isn't so. Rush doesn't always feel so much like Rush could be. Like I remember when Rush was like, in 2 turns I'm hitting your face, but it feels like it's slowed down a little bit. Like it's still Rush because you're going towards them, but there's I think people, at least on the higher end of the ladder, it's more. Strategic, and especially in Rush versus Rush, no matter the color, it's more like, you're rushing, which color are you rushing as? Okay, how do I react to this? I mean, there's still, I think, a lot of depth to it. It's not like, at the bottom of the ladder, maybe new players, they're like, oh, it's just going face. Like, there's no strategy, it's just auto win, but it's really not. Like, I've had some really interesting rush games where I've won with like that one hit point. Like, sure, it's probably more a race, but it was still down to control and okay, I'll drop this one thing as a defense maybe, and yeah, I think there's more to it than just than just meets the eye at first. After playing for so long now, I think Rush, when balanced at least, when it's not like one Rush dominating, I think it's still, there's still so much about the board game. People might think that, oh, well, the board doesn't matter anymore. No, maybe it doesn't matter to go right the first time, but it's still about where do you put your prairies or lands, and yeah, it's still so much. Faeria is so much about board. Yeah. I'm just rambling.
Well, I mean, even in the Rush, like, yeah, there's a lot of things that you have to do exactly well with your lands. There are some times where you have to make a trade, right? Like, even though you want to just go for the face, sometimes you can't let your opponent set up in a certain way. Like, there are other things that you have to do sometimes.
Yeah, I was just about to say that same thing. Rush used to just be, you'd throw in freedom fighters, you'd have your followers, and you just try and hit face as much as you can. Win soldier face, Deathwalker it. It was just all about hitting face. And now we see this new variant of, you can rush, but you still go for controlling the board. It's just you try and control like the opponent's creatures, and then eventually close out the game. It's definitely a bit different now.
Yeah. We remember when, like, oh, you played something, I don't care, I'm still gonna hit your face, because that's all my deck is about. It's about my monk getting a card draw, me finding a crusader. I don't care what you do, I'm just gonna hit face. There was a time when it was very weird.
Yeah, because, like, even the land placement has changed, right? Because the old, and this is like the start of early access yellow rush type of thing, right around the orb was really important, but now a lot of the rushes really focus on getting around the well so that you can harvest at the same time.
Question that I just realized that I have is, how good is the what's it called, the Windgate? Is that what it's called?
I actually saw that earlier today.
Oh, you haven't seen that in, like, because I just, like, as soon as that was one desert, I added that to my red rush. Like, I'm like, well, now I don't need a mountain next to opponent's orb for Axe Grinder to trigger. Like I even had a game where I had two of them down, and I just, since you can move them, I moved them onto my opponent's special lands so that he just couldn't play there.
Yeah.
Now, it's just the fact that, like, land placement, I mean, it becomes interesting because now you can be like, well, now I can, like, almost make a defensive land placement because I still be able to put my like, it doesn't matter where I put my mountain, I just need the land requirement because that Windgate will allow me to play on any land anywhere, except the ocean.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I think it was Hunter or Heavy, one of the two, because I keep messing up who's who, but one of the two was in Twitch chat when I was trying that the first time. He's like, I think it's a bad card, and I basically had that perfect game where I, like, put it down, I just put, like, two of my creatures basically in front of it, like, up towards his orb. He's like, no, actually, that's really good. What do you think, Cappuccino? You're the god rank.
Well, I think if you're doing red-yellow, it might be okay.
I mean, it's
I don't think it's good to be like mono red and splash Wingate, but it's definitely worked out for some people. I know I've seen it in
you don't
very
go
competitive
three
games.
of them. I think
like,
you go two, maybe one.
Yeah. I've seen. I think it was Heavy that did it against me. Someone did it against me that was really high god rank, and they had gone up towards my base and built, the mountains, and then put down a desert. Next turn, desert, and I had the lands blocked well enough that he couldn't get a haste unit in. But then the Windgate came down, and then the Monk with prayer, and he managed to get to snowball slightly off that. And
it just
seemed
one Faeria.
good, but you do kind of need the combo pieces for that to work. So I don't know how consistent it is.
It helps in, heck, I've even been thinking, like, do I put this in Green Rush? Like, again, just because, like, you don't really need to get that advanced land placement if, well, well, if you drop it and your opponent removes it, you're like, oh shit. But yeah, like I think it's an interesting piece that's so splashable now, and yeah, I'm kind of waiting for some of the really smart guys to be like, well, here's how you use it, because it just feels very. It feels very good, but like you say, sure, maybe more in a deck that runs some more yellow, it's probably better. But I've had games won because of it, I feel like, in my Red Rush. But it's situational. I mean, you get sad if you sit with like 2 of them on your hand and you're like, I don't need them.
Yeah, like I saw it, it was in a yellow rush when I saw it earlier today, and it was just, I think I was playing Taliran. And he just saved up like 16 Faeria or something because I had things blocking, and then he dropped the Wingate, and it's like, oh, so now he just gets around my creatures even though I've blocked, and like I was able to recover, but it was really cool to see that actually has a place.
Yeah, I mean, you drop it, and like the moment you drop it, you can drop a creature ahead of it. Basically, you get onto your opponent's land with it, and then you can move it. Like you can, like each turn, you can actually move the structure. Like it moves. That's also, I guess, interesting. But yeah, so you can move the structure, and it's 4 health. And it's 1 Faeria. Like I've even had it, blocking for me, be like in the way, like something they have to deal with to reach my creatures, stuff like that. Like I feel it's good. I don't know. I like it. I think it's a good card.
Yeah, I can expect some Yellow Rush decks to maybe try out it and actually have it probably be pretty good.
It is splashable. I'm just saying that it's just 1 desert now, so it means that I feel like having one of them.
I'm just it being one desert. I'm just looking through like the collection here to be like, okay, is there a like multicolor? You can splash like the 1 land requirement of like everything, like Axe Grinder, the Messenger now, and then you just get like.
All right, we need a rainbow deck that runs every 1 land requirement card. That's what we need. All right, there we go. That's the next meta. All right, I'm gonna just move on here, and since we're talking so much about cards, we're obviously gonna talk about the balance changes that happened on the 16th. That's basically 1.5 weeks ago. It was the beginning of last week. 16th. That's actually, last Tuesday. Not this Tuesday, last Tuesday. The Tuesday in last week. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. So, a lot of balance changes happened, one of them being quite a big one, at least. We're just going to go from the top. We're going to start with the neutral cards, and that was 1 neutral card. It's the Daring Adventurer. Reduced Faeria cost by 1. It now costs 4 Faeria. It's down from 5. Daring Adventurer, I think... I actually ran that way back in the... Basically, I think, very early stages of early access in my all-neutral deck, and it did win me some games. Now we're obviously down at the bottom of the ladder back then, but it was really fun. What it does is that you drop it, and for each adjacent enemy creature, it gets +2/+2. And it is a 2/2 to begin with. So for a 4 cost, I think if you do the math, you just need 1 enemy creature for it to be, normal cost value. It is a neutral, but if there's, at least 2 enemy creatures around it, it will be a 6/6 for 4. I think this is a really good card. It's neutral. I think this could see play in the future.
Even if it hits 1 creature now, it's Mace Man.
Yeah.
So any deck that was running Mace Man probably changed to this, just because there's a possibility where you get something really good instead of just a 4/4.
I've had it hit 3, and I think I had one time I hit 4. I didn't win the game; it was just fun. but yeah, I've had it hit 3, and that felt good.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first read the card, I actually thought it was going to be the replacement to Vampire. I'm like,
right?
Oh man, they're getting rid of Vampire. Yellow Rush just puts in Daring Adventures now and just puts 8/8s next to your opponent, potentially. But sadly, in practice, it doesn't quite work out.
Yeah, you don't have those situations that often where you... I guess people are still playing around Shade of Vampire even though it doesn't exist, right? Like they're like, I'm not going to have creatures in a circle here. But yeah. I think it's a, I don't know, it's a neutral card. That's what makes it so interesting to me, is that it's, yeah, we'll see. What do you think, Capo? Is it good, weak, bad?
I think it's a card that's good. That probably just doesn't have a deck to fit into yet, but certainly there's a chance that some deck will come out and make good use out of it.
Yeah. I mean, how good do you think neutral cards are in general? Like to use?
Well, there is this card called Royal Judge that's in the meta right now, so I don't really like neutral cards too much. But yeah, it's a good card.
It's a good card.
Yeah.
All right. So do we? Well, the next card is going to be the Shaitan Vampire. So the design has been reworked. It's now 6 Faeria, 2 Deserts requirement. It's a 5/6. Whenever Shaitan Vampire damages a god, you gain that much life. So it's a life leeching creature now that, well, when attacking god. It used to be, for those of you watching this who are new to Faeria, Shaitan Vampire used to be a 7 Faeria cost, 2 Desert requirement. It had 7 attack, 4 health, and when you played it, it had gift. The creature drained 2 life from all adjacent enemy creatures. Actually, it says all creatures here, but all enemy creatures. Yeah. So it was considered broken and very strong for a very long time. It was in yellow control. Heck, it wasn't in anything yellow, I think. It was just really strong, and they reworked it. So what do we think about this? What do we think, Capu?
Well, it's interesting now because when you're playing blue and you summon your water elemental and you're getting burned out from red burn, now sometimes you can unbound your water alley, hit face, and heal because you can unbound into
you
vampire.
can actually hit it into the vampire.
Yeah, so this it's pretty rare, but sometimes it does help blue players. It's something they can play towards now. I think with the old vampire, it had the chance of just doing some really crazy things, and it wasn't really fun because if you wanted to flood out creatures or play token decks, you just got hard countered by vampire, and everyone was playing vampire. It was too good when it worked well.
Everyone who played when the old vampire existed remembers, like, oh, he puts down a desert there, and now I can't have creatures next to it. like the playing around it, or just step on that damn desert quick. You know, like you just like you saw desert. Anyone playing any yellow, you would be like, well, they have vampires, so you would always have to think, like, how many creatures do I have next to his deserts, because I don't want him to get any value when dropping a vampire. And it was, like, it ended up being, like, you know, in your spine, you just played anyone that had yellow, and it was all, like, 100%, like, you would have to think, you know, do I take this risk that he's gonna drop a vampire? Like, it was,
yeah. And, like, it could swing so hard, even if it didn't kill anything.
Oh, it was just such a big creature.
Yeah, it was massive. Like, even if it hit 2 creatures and didn't kill either of them, it's still a 7/8 to deal with, right? So like,
yeah, it was
kind of ridiculous.
I like the rework. Yeah. Some people kind of liked the design but wanted it nerfed in different ways.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's more interesting to see them redesign it, I think, rather than nerfing. I think if they any nerf that you could have done to it would have probably just made it bad. And I think this design that they have now with the life leech when you hit God leaves room for balancing in the future. Like because now it's a 5/6 for 6 Faeria that leeches 5 life if you hit face, and you know if it's either too good or too weak, they can like maybe 1 up or 1 down the cost of it, or adjust the attack life. Like there's so much ways to balance the card, I think, in the future. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah. If they had just changed the cost of it, it would have been kind of awkward because I was already down to just running 1 of them in my yellow rush. I even think it was better to just run 0 because it's really insane when it works. It is this card that can sometimes just completely win a game, like Garridan, for instance, as well. It kind of has this issue where you get a crazy vampire or Garridan, it kills off a bunch of stuff, you just win the game off it. But quite often you're playing Yellow Rush and you're throwing all these haste units, and it's very hard to bank up 7 Faeria. So
exactly,
I think if they had increased the cost, it would be more dead than it is now.
Yeah, I actually thought that, like, considering the effect, it might still see some play just for mirror matchups, because then if you're on, like, racing your opponent, you hit them with the vampire and you're suddenly healing back up while still damaging them, but it just hasn't been seen.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's obviously a card you want to play together with Soul Pact now. Like anything that uses up your life. I actually wish we had more cards with a design like Soul Pact that actually took life from you to do things. There's 2 cards in yellow, right? There's Soul Pact and then there's the Shaitan Demon, right? Which is that what it's called? Well,
but there's I was going to say this actually makes a nice transition. Raxa in chat asked, "What do you think about the appearance of Altar?" So Altar of Souls.
Oh yeah, Altar. Yeah, that one I haven't seen in a while.
The same thing, which is now seeing a bit more play.
Yeah, like basically all those cards I think are pretty good cards, and with the Shaitan Vampire now, it kind of makes more sense to maybe experiment with those cards and see if you can make a deck like that work, where you are using your hit points as a resource, but with a vampire you can actually kind of heal back in situations. Yeah, and the Altar does seem to be good in that, like, because vampire now is not what it used to be, Altar of Souls now gives you a big threat. It only has 1 life, but it's still 6 attack each turn. I think Altar is one of those, the earlier you get it out, the more it's going to be a problem for your opponent.
Yeah, and like I can see kind of like a mid-range yellow wanting to experiment with that, because you need big threats, right? So if you can drop a 6/1 every turn, you can start to snowball the game really hard.
Yep. What do you think, Kappa? Is there potential with the Altar?
I don't know. Altar, it's a stretcher, right? Stretches are a bit too slow when people are playing Rush. You don't want to be dropping Altar of Souls and they're hitting you with a Monk and Prairie.
There we go.
Oh, maybe in yellow red there's some room actually. Let me think about that.
Well, yeah, but then it's 3 deserts, so
yeah.
I give Thormund credit for that. He put that in Twitch chat. Altar plus hate seed. All right. Let's move on. Deathwish Ghoul. Basically only changed a little bit. So it's 3 Faeria to play it, and it's a 3/1, which has last words that you gain 2 Faeria now. It used to be you gained 3 Faeria. Basically, Deathwish Ghoul was this card that you played, and it cost you 3 Faeria, but the moment it died, you had that back. So if you're playing like a sacrificial deck, you would play it, use a card that sacrifices one of your own, and sacrifice that. You basically didn't lose any cost for it. Also, just a good card as a 3/1 on the board. If your enemy deals with it by killing it, you just get your Faeria back. It gave you basically value no matter what. The only way to get the value off the board for your opponent was to evolve it into something, which is rare overall, unless you're playing blue, but still, even then you're running the risk of making it bigger and better. Now they made it so it costs 3 Faeria to play, and you gain 2 Faeria when it dies. So they nerfed it.
It's not free anymore.
They nerfed it. It's not free. But how big of a nerf was that? Is it? I mean, I still see it, and I did a Pandora run with 7 of them.
Whoa!
And we thought it was gonna go great. Actually, it might have been 8 or 9. It was like insane. Like, we actually just made a rule that every Deathwish Ghoul we see, we pick, and we did. And I actually think I even had like a selection of picking like 2 of them. I was just dumb. I don't know. I just saw so many of them, but it ended up being a very bad run. Though I actually didn't do very well. But anyway, that was with the new version too, so it gained you 2 Faeria. So yeah, what do you think? What do you think? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it needed to be nerfed, because getting the full cost refund was definitely a bit too much.
It was again, this was also one of those, every yellow deck ran it, like it was just everywhere.
Yeah, it was to the point where if you were playing on ladder and you didn't have Falcon Dives in your deck, you should be really, really reconsidering that.
Yeah, Falcon Dive was the only counter, really.
Yeah, it's not even... You lose in that trade, but like you still have to do it, because you could lose even more if you do something else.
It was I guess that was the trade that was the least bad. Like that was how it was.
Unless you were red, Flame Spitter, Ground Shaker.
Yep.
Outside of that, it's like just go for Falcon Dives.
Yeah. So what do you think, Kappa? Now it's like it is.
It's still really strong. I think it's a 3 of, and I think every yellow deck should be running 3 of.
Yeah, because still, like the 1 Faeria you pay now, but you get like 3 damage to something. You can even use it as a harvester to regain some of that value for a bit, maybe. Or even, again, in a sacrificial deck, meaning you paid 1 Faeria for whatever that sacrificial effect is. You know, it's... Yeah.
Yeah, it's still really good.
So, yeah, not much more to say. It's still really good. It's not bad.
I mean, even with the nerf, it's now essentially the same as Underground Brigand in red. Same cost, same requirement, just Brigand has combat gain the 2 instead of last words. But basically you'd get 1 effect of that, so now they're kind of the same early game card for both. That's at least what I compare it to.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's still good. Oradrim Sagittarius. I think that's how you say it. Somebody just call it a Saggy, something like that. I think that's what Aquablood call it. Oh, old Saggy. Added both... Okay, here, I'm just reading off here. Added both an additional desert requirement and 1 health. So it's now 3 Faeria, 2 deserts. It's a 1/3. It's used to be 3 Faeria, 1 desert, 1/2. So it has 1 more health. It requires 2 deserts, so it's not... I guess it's not... It's never a first turn drop. You can't drop it the first turn nowadays.
Yeah, and that's pretty big.
So which is pretty big. They delayed it by 1 turn, basically. This card saw a lot of play before this, just before this patch hit. People would use this even in Yellow Rush. They would just drop this ranged archer in front of their orb to do some of that orb damage they needed for their Crusader Kings, Celos Crusaders, Crusader Kings.
Yeah,
yeah. Still,
it was strong in Yellow Rush. It was strong in like the Archer deck, or not the Archer, the Windstorm Charger decks. Like, it's so good that you can't play it on turn 1 anymore.
Yeah.
I actually really like the +1 health because it doesn't get just killed off super easy now by Soul Drain, by Cypher's Wrath, things like that. Like it's much more durable, even just getting that 1 extra health.
Yeah, I mean, now it's a strategy card. It used to be, before, it was just a snowball. You played it turn 1, you got insane value, or you were second player and you played it on your turn 1, and then your opponent just ciphered it, and you're like, oh, okay, well, now I'm down a Faeria, and I'm just going to lose off this. So it needed to be changed, because it was too snowbally. One person either got insane value or lost out too much. And so, with it being on 3 life and 2 desert, I think it's a lot more of a strategy card now. Like, you can play around it and you can put it in your deck, and it's still really powerful, I think. It just doesn't have the brokenness of playing it turn 1.
Isn't it interesting that, like, if we go back far enough, or I mean, even today, people consider ranged units to be bad. Like when you start playing Faeria, you encounter ranged units, you're like, this is OP. Like, everyone who plays Faeria, I feel like, and doesn't go in Discord and hear other people's opinion before, but even then they're like, no, you're wrong. Like, ranged is so strong. Like, just imagine you have this creature that attacks from a distance, and all that stuff, and you try it out and you're like, I can't get it to work.
Until you play against people who know how to play around it.
Yeah, I'll play around it, and but still, like, it's, you can't move them and attack. Like, there's a few things that make ranged, I guess, balanced, if you want to say that. But then they discover this ranged little guy, and we saw all those yellow decks that, like, well, this one ranged unit is really good. Here we go, ranged. Go ranged.
He's better for his effect more than having ranged, though.
Yeah.
Because you could just drop it when you were about to hit the face with other things just to get the extra Faeria. Because you end up with this card being almost free by the end anyway. But I did that when I started. I loved the old Fire Elemental because it had the ranged, and you could play other lands out to get other creatures out. Absolutely loved it, and it was just terrible every time I played it.
Yeah, whenever I saw the old Fire Elemental and it was in a burn deck, I was like, I hope I don't just die because I took like 4 damage from this Fire Elemental. They get you close to half life, and then it was just like flame burst, and that was back when you.
I still use flame burst like that.
I can't remember.
I still save those flame bursts if I can, because I'm like, well, if I just get him down to 9, I just need 3 of them. Yep. Oh, that's awesome. All right, well, it's more. Kappa said it's a strategic card now.
Yeah, it's still very powerful.
Yeah. And then the Windgate, actually, which was reduced Faeria and Desert requirement by 1, so it's now 1 Faeria, 1 Desert. It used to be 2 Faeria, 2 Deserts, and that's why I think it never saw play, and now I think it has a room. We discussed this a bit earlier here. I think the Windgate is not OP or anything, but I think it's a good card that, you know, in certain decks, in certain situation, fits. I'm not sure if you run 3 of them. I think I might be running 3 in my red rush because I wanna get it so often because I wanted to try it out, see how it works, and it's an interesting card.
It's good enough to see play now,
Because now
or
it's
at least
like,
experimentation.
yeah, and now it's splashable. That's the thing. It's a 1 Faeria cost. It's a 1 desert. You can put it in any color you like. You just drop a desert somewhere because it's a structure, so you can put it on any land. Like, you don't need to put it on a desert. That's also obviously important because it's a structure. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a utility option now.
Yeah, utility. There we go. Utility. That's the word. All right, going on to blue. Sunken Tower, reduced Faeria cost by 1, so it doesn't cost anything anymore. It used to be 1 Faeria and 2 lakes. Now it's 0 Faeria and 2 lakes requirement. So, Sunken Tower. I mean, I thought this was just one of the strengths of blue before, with all the movement tricks, basically. Being able to move land is pretty strong, I think, but it's obviously not a 3-off in my opinion, but it's something you can have 1 or 2, because if you get this out early on, you can kind of mess up with your opponent as well by moving their lands to where they don't want them. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think at 1 Faeria, it was too much to spend on utility that might only end up giving you a 1 Faeria advantage, or might screw them up 1 Faeria, but, you know, it would kind of be a sign to your opponent, hey, they put down this structure, they can move a land, I know to play around this now. So a lot of the things
it takes a
could just be
turn. It
played
takes a
around.
turn to actually use it. You have to drop it, and then your opponent's like, okay, and he can adjust.
They have a turn to react. Yeah.
And now that it's 0 Faeria, now you can just, you know, just plop it out as well as the water alley, and you can just tempo games now. And I think it's really powerful as a tempo card.
Isn't it also, like, doesn't these structures, I actually don't remember how much health it has. I'm assuming is it 3 or 4? It's 3 or 4.
I'm gonna double check. 3.
I'm pretty sure it's 3.
Yeah,
it's 3.
Because it actually loses 1 health each time you use it. By the way, but isn't it still like for 0, you are getting a 3 health wall somewhere? You can use it to block maybe. Like, it's still like it can be. Like, you're running it as a utility for the movement trick, 1 or 2 off maybe, and you probably prefer it in the early hand because you'll get more use of it. But if you are then drawing it late game, it could be something to put in between somewhere to prevent your opponent in a tight game, can't it?
Yeah, but it also has the downside of sometimes blocking you as well.
That's true.
It's happened to me. I was running it, and all the lands around the Sunken Tower were trapped. Like, there was lands all around the Sunken Tower, so I couldn't move the Sunken Tower. And
it's fun when your opponent knows that too. He's like, I'm not gonna kill it. I'm just gonna let it be in the way. Yeah. Freaking every structure I've ever played has done that once to me, I think. Is like, I'm like, here's a good place, and then something happens on the next turn. I'm like, that was a really bad place. But yeah, that's true.
It's pretty good. I mean, free cards, pretty strong.
Yeah. All right. Prophet of Tides, 3 Faeria, 2 lakes, 3/1. Move a land you control twice. It used to be 1/1. Move a land twice. So it's gotten the what is it, like 2 more attack? It's a 3/1 now. The creature Prophet of Tides can actually deal some damage to things, unless it gets Falcon Dived or something. But usually you played the Prophet of Tides for 3 Faeria just for that movement, right? Like, move a land you control twice. You could send things off. You can get, like, you could set up a double gathering, or you can get that Luduon to trigger much quicker. You know, Prophet of Tides also a utility card, I think. How much better is it with 3 attack instead of 1?
I think it's nerfed, actually. Because you can only move your own lands now. You can't move the enemy lands.
That move a
so
land you
could... lost
that's true. It's true. You're right. I forgot about that.
What you wanted to do before was use it as a utility card to either set up your Ludians or just get lands in ways you want them, or push away your opponent's lands to stall even longer.
Yeah, because two movement
you would
is much.
Right, and then you would just phantasm it or unbound it, so you didn't care what the stats were as long as it lived on the board. Now as a 3/1, like you still are gonna Phantasm Unbound it, so the 3 attack doesn't really matter, and now you can only move your lands. So
it is a nerf. Yeah, you changed
Yeah.
my mind entirely. I was like, oh man, I entirely,
got nerfed
I haven't
with the two
played it
attack as
since the change
offset.
actually, so that's why I haven't reacted to it.
Yeah, it does bring rise to new archetypes though. Like you can do blue-red attack matters and splash Prophet of Tides now, as maybe to progress your lands or something. So like, I guess some decks will see it as a buff, but I think overall it was a nerf.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, losing the ability to move your opponent's land. Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel dumb didn't see that. I was like, yeah, it's the same effect. It's just a buff. It's like, no, wait, it's not. Shit. All right. Yeah, 100% correct. I agree with Kapu. Mystic Beast then designed as well. Rework the design. Shit, I don't know how to say this. So they just like the Shaitan Vampire, they changed it. It's 3 Faeria, 3 lakes, 2/5 gift. It gets +2/+0 and jump if played adjacent to an enemy well. So it's like the Axe Grinder in red, which triggers off the opponent's well. It used to be, for those of you watching, 3 Faeria. 3 lakes. It was getting a gift that was +2/+2 and charge 2 if your opponent had 10 Faeria or more, which never happened.
Yeah.
There are legends about this happening, but nobody has nobody has real proof of it. It's basically like the Loch Ness monster. People believe in it, but it's never happened or never been seen. So yeah, like that's how bad it was.
Used to be a different stats too, wasn't it? Than the 2/5.
Maybe. I honestly
feel like it
don't
was-
know.
It was a 3/4 when it used to proc off your opponent being on 10 mana, I think. But
So was
before
it-
that, it was weaker as well.
Yeah.
It's had a
thought
few
so.
variations to it.
The moment this patch hit, you saw Mystic Beast. Like, you
Oh,
just saw
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in a community like the Faeria one, which is it is a smaller one compared to, let's say, Hearthstone, and you'll see like people are always excited with balance changes, so they're obviously gonna try anything that's new, anything that's changed is gonna be tried. So that's also why you usually see like, oh, we added a new card, everybody's running 3 wishes when that was added, and stuff like that. So obviously Mystic Beast was tried a lot, and it is good. Like all of a sudden people are like, well, Blue Rush now exists because. Yeah, just like the Axe Grinder, stuff like that, you just need to get those lands over to your opponent's well. You play it, you now have a 4. This was then turned into a 4/5 with jump. And you're like, haha. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
How good is it?
Mystic Beast is pretty good now. It does enable this new archetype of being a blue rush, as you say. Shout out to Grumler. I've seen him playing ladder games against a few people, and he's been playing Blue Rush, and it's been actually pretty powerful. I'm pleasantly surprised by it. But back with the old design of Mystic Beast, it was actually funny. I was in a call with Helios once, and he was screen sharing. We were talking about all of the different plays, and he played his Mystic Beast, and he's like, "Wait, why is this a 4/6 or whatever it turned into? It was a 5/6, I think." And I'm like, was the opponent actually on 10 mana? We looked. It's like, whoa! It's activated! It's really funny.
Yeah. Nobody was playing it for the activation thing. I think it had 2 designs. Like even further back, I think they're saying in Twitch chat it used to be that it would get attack equal to your opponent's Faeria. It was a 0/5. We're talking before the old design even. Like this been redesigned like twice now. But I like it as it is. I like how the card reads and looks. I haven't played it much, if anything. So I'm not sure what to think. But I've seen it played against me, and it obviously anything that has jump or that you get jump on is good because the reach of the jump is great, and it's a 4/5 because you obviously want to play it to be a 4/5 with jump. So
Yeah, and now with the all the movement tricks that blue has. That's why we're seeing this deck come up, right?
Yeah.
So
Definitely. All right. Ancient Herald was increased. He was healed. Health increased by 1. It's now a 5/6. It was a 5/5. And I think the cost is 6, Faeria, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. Obviously, it doesn't in the patch
6,
notes
yeah.
say what his effect is, but his effect is that the next creature you draw with health of 5 or more gets discounted by
2.
2.
By 2.
Like,
Yeah.
off the back of my head here. Like, I know all the cards in the back of my head. No, I don't. So yeah. Yeah, basically they buffed it with another health, I guess, to make it more decent on the board as a 5/6 compared to a 5/5 for a 6 cost. Yeah, what do we think?
Yeah, I think
have
with
no
it being
opinion
on
at all.
6 life, it's a lot more viable now in the sense that, now it can trade well with Windborn Champions. It can survive if you play it against the Ground Shaker, because Ground Shaker is only 5 attack, and as well as cards like Mirror Phantasm. If you're playing it in the blue mirror, you can kill Phantasms with Heralds now. So I think a lot of people saw it and were like, hey, now it's good, we can try it. But then they have a Battle Toad get Mythmaker to be a 6/6 and kill the Herald, and they're like, oh, right, this is
Yeah.
why I don't like this card. And so I think a lot of people have started cutting it again. But
It's
kind
a
of
six,
meta
it's a
card.
high cost card still. Like, you pay 6 for it. Like, you obviously want the effect to trigger somehow. Like, when I was at DreamHack Summer and I was showcasing Faeria to people, and them being new to the game and never touched the game and stuff like that. I obviously put together what was fun decks, right? I wasn't, here's the best competitive deck that I could net deck here for you. I was just trying to show them some of the mechanics and such of the game. And green blue was just fun. A lot of people just liked the green blue synergies with Beastmaster, Herald, like just high health creatures and just these discounts, and it was just nice to show that to people. Obviously that doesn't matter on the ladder when you get high up, but I did have a person who did play on the ladder at DreamHack with green blue with Herald and won. So that was pretty good. But and he's gonna go home and be like, yeah, I have this awesome deck, and it's like, maybe it wasn't so good, but it was at least fun. And I still like the effect. Like, if I sometimes make a fun green blue, I kind of include the Herald because I like the discount. But
Yeah, I've played a bit of the red blue like bargain deck, as it's called. Bold Bargainers, Ancient Herald, the Spring Mochi, the things that just keep discounting. Sometimes you get really good string of it, and you get like a full board for 0. But I always found that Ancient Herald didn't do enough. Even when it got a discount on something, it just... I haven't played it since it got the +1 health, but at least at the 5/5, it just never felt like it did enough.
So
it
what
always
if it
died way too easily.
So what if it discounted by 3 instead of 2? Would that be like broken?
It used to be a better discount, wasn't it?
I think it used to. Like, this has seen balance. It used to cost 5 as well, I think. So
Yeah.
This has been balanced a few times.
Yeah, I think it was a 3/5 that discounted by 3, but I might be wrong.
Oh.
I think, yeah, it was a 3/5 for 5 that discounted by 3.
I think that sounds very familiar.
So, and the thing with it is 3 is a lot, because like 3 versus 2 discount, that means something that's normally a 6 or a 7 cost that would take you 2 turns to play, even with a 2 discount. Now you can play on 1 turn. Like, sometimes you end up with not enough value at 2, but I think at 3 it's almost too much.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird where it doesn't really see a balance that could work. I don't know if that's just my opinion on it, but
yeah, I mean, I think going from 2 to 3 might be the breaking point of where it starts to see more play as well. But one of the problems is often you want to run it with sturdy shells, and sturdy shell costs 2. So if it was discounted by 3, you might be wasting some discounts. So
That's
it just
the
depends on
risk
whether
you
you
would
want to
take
run it
then,
with sturdy
right?
shells.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like that 1 health buff that it got. Like, sure, it probably didn't make it like a staple card. And I mean, that's not always what you're after. Like, we can't have every card in the whole collection be stable cards or be good, like just auto include. You can't have that. But but just like Kappa mentioned, like that one increased health, like you can drop it. It can battle against ground shakers. It can deal with mirror phantasms. Like just that one extra health does give it a little bit more sustain on the board. It doesn't just get removed so easily. It's quite a big thing to just increase that one number, and obviously increasing the discount by 1 would probably just do a lot. That is hard to fathom right here right now.
Yeah, the 1 health, it's not an auto include, but it's playable, right? Like at least more playable than it was. Obviously, whenever anything.
Because I just look at it and see that it costs 6 Faeria, and that what makes me go like, it's such an expensive card. Like to me, when I look at it, like I don't like that it costs 6, but oh well.
There is that advantage of unbounding into an 8-drop now.
That is true. That is true.
It's easier to get a trade and then unbound it into an 8-drop and.
There you have the synergy, right? Like you would play it, so now you triggered the gift ability. You would hopefully kill something, damage something, like use it against something so that now it's damaged, it doesn't die, and then you unbound it to get something new and healthy, right? I guess that's the synergy, but
yeah.
All right, green got some cool stuff happening. What used to be Runin's champion has been renamed to Runin's messenger. I don't know, being a champion or a messenger, which has the best social status, but I'm pretty sure champion sounded more awesome. Like, I'm just a messenger, don't shoot the messenger, like all that stuff, right? So it's obviously a downgrade. It's a nerf on the name, but it was, I guess it was changed a little bit. So, alright, it's now 5 Faeria, 1 forest. It used to be 4 Faeria, 1 forest. It's a 3/5. It was a 2/6. It has a jump, and whenever this creature attacks a god, add a random green creature to your hand and decrease its cost by 2 Faeria. And it used to be whenever this creature attacks a god, add a random green creature to your hand, and it got +2/+2. So instead of getting a random green creature with a buff, you're now getting a random green creature with a discount. Is it green about buffing, though? This is where I'm a little bit lost. I'm like, why couldn't it still be a buff, though?
Well, if you think about Bloomstrite kind of had this mechanic first of getting a discounted cost card that's of the same color, right? Because Bloomstrite gives you a discounted, I think by 3 cost green card. So green's kind of had this for a while.
I guess you're right.
And I think it's a lot more powerful this way because quite often you get something that just you couldn't afford it. So when you're trying to rush your Star for Faeria, you can't really just hit face.
When you're trying to rush, like we're assuming it's for the rush archetype, right?
Yeah. And in terms of the name, I think the name was an improvement because of all the different puns you can do. Now when you're casting, you can be like, and Runin's Messenger delivers a powerful message.
Oh my god!
Lots of little puns.
I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah. The champion you would expect to do it all himself, but the messenger goes to get reinforcements, so.
Yeah. No, I like the name. It fits. It's nice. I like the card. The card is really interesting.
Card's fantastic.
Like the moment it hit, it's like green rush, because if you can, like, you just hard mulligan for a messenger, and if your opponent can't deal with it, it's like ha. You obviously want to trigger it.
It kind of has that problem of just trying to carry green on its back right now. It's like, is this just the best green card? Green finally has mobility. Now you can drop a creature with jump and actually buff it.
The moment your opponent
or go face
deals with it, you're like, fuck that. That was my win condition.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't mind losing it as long as you get at least one, but preferably at least 2 discounted creatures, because it's random, so you might be getting that Bloom Sprite. You're like, fuck. You're like, I did not need that card.
And it's useless anyway.
Right? Like, so it depends on what card you get. It's very random what you get, so... It's just that any discounted green creature kinda is good, except maybe Bloom Sprite, Tarim, but like anything there is kinda good in the rush, because it's cheaper, it's easier to play.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
It also is nice that it's add a creature and not just add a green card and decrease it by 2. Gives you a lot more attacking options in a green rush.
Yeah. All right, yeah. I guess we don't need to add more to that, except that we now have a Faeria tree that blows up at 5 life instead of 6. So it was buffed, kinda, because you get the value faster, but it's less value. I also like that they said it blows up, so the tree literally blows up. I was expecting it to do damage when it does, but it blows up.
I think you get the same value though. Don't you get
It's
10
still,
mana regardless?
It's still 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
stupid.
So it was just strictly buffed, and it's a really powerful card. But
I have it in my green rush now.
It's kind of a weird card where if you get rushed, it's not great because it'll just get killed. And when you're rushing with it, sometimes your early creatures you drop kind of suck and just die off, and your opponent's double collecting, and then you get 10 mana from this, but your opponent's been double collecting for the past 4 turns, so they're kind of ahead anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's a tricky card.
Yeah, it can be powerful, but I think quite often you'd rather just be collecting.
King Dance said it's good, according to Twitch chat.
There you go.
Yeah.
So-
As well as I think Donkey has said it's really powerful too. So a lot of top players think it's a very powerful card.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I lose my mind every time I see it because I'm like, okay, I have to go kill this now.
Apparently it's bugged because it doesn't trigger from the Architect, so it only triggers the next turn. So if you play Architect to trigger it, it doesn't blow.
So its ability is coded as a production and then check if it has 5 life. It's not just a standard. As soon as
doesn't it
5.
say production gain 1 life when at and when at 5 it blows up?
It's not actually bugged, I think, because the production is where it checks to see if it's on 5 life, and so if you buff it to above 5 life, but it's past your production phase, then it's not going to trigger.
Well, I think it's more like
that
that they haven't thought about that synergy. I don't think they thought about that interaction that Architect could potentially turn it into 5, and you as a player would because I would have thought like, well, I got it to 5, god damn it, the tree didn't blow up. You know.
Well, and it could just be the way that it's written too, because like it goes gains +1 life, and then that's the end of that sentence, which may mean that you think it's the end of the production, and then when it has 5 or more is on the next line. So it could just be the way that it's written looks like it's 2 separate things.
Well, I would have thought
that
it blew up when it had 5 life, even if you'd used an Architect. Like, I would have thought that.
Yeah.
But I think the way the game works, it kind of it runs off triggers.
Yeah, I mean, when you're familiar with how they've phrased it in the past, it would say whenever this reaches 5 life, that would be the keyword for when it wouldn't be part of the production.
Yeah.
So I think that's where you can kind of distinguish. There is a difference between how they phrase things.
But how should it be, though? What would you have liked?
I think if you could Architect buff it, that might be too powerful. I don't know.
How often would you be able to, though? Like, do you think that if that was a possible interaction, that it would all of a sudden we would see Architects and Faeria trees everywhere?
I think we'd see a lot more people testing for sure, because green red has a lot of powerful synergies, and it is quite powerful.
Well, somebody apparently tried it. It came from Twitch chat. Somebody's like, well, it's OP, but it's bugged. In his opinion, it was bugged because of that interaction not working. But
if it worked that way, I could definitely see running it. Like I said, I'm playing green red most of the time on ranked now, and instead of like the underground cards where you recover Faeria through the combat, if you could run Faeria tree and then just double Architect so that it gets up and triggers, that's 4 Faeria to gain 10, so then you can drop another. I don't know. It might be something that I would consider instead of those.
I think it
2.
sounds far off, though. Like, it sounds like something that's hard to, be consistent with.
You need the 3. You need 2 mountains, 1 forest, and 6 Faeria, and then you gain 10. Yeah, it doesn't really seem worth it in that. But then you're on a 2/2, a 2/2, and then whatever you play on the forest. Maybe. I don't know if it's
interesting.
Worth doing. Might be worth experimenting with, though.
Yeah, I haven't even considered Architect to be a viable card ever.
I've actually tried it with a lot of different things, including like Devouring Plant and testing out like Imperial Engineers. And I think if the Faeria tree was changed to not be a production effect, I think there really is some tier 1 decks that could come out of this.
All right, devs. If you're listening, they usually are listening, or if you're watching now or later, then maybe that's worth a balance change. See what happens. Do it while it's early access. All right.
We need Architect to give all structures +1 life instead of a specific one +2.
Exactly.
And then you go Faeria Tree, Triton Sanctuary, and then you just end up with like 30 Faeria in one turn.
and Gading, that was a good sound effect you had there.
My phone just went off.
Oh, lovely. All right, multicolor Apex Predator increased Faeria cost by 1. I don't even remember how much it was.
It was 6.
It was 6, so now it's 7.
It was 6, now it's 7.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen the Predators much. Again, I think it's more like people are just trying so many different things, and sometimes certain deck archetypes kind of just get forgotten a little bit because people are just running everything else or trying other things. But actually, maybe Yellow Rush is really strong. Maybe the Predator deck is actually... I don't think it's that bad, actually, with that 1 Faeria cost increase. I think it's still very good. But nobody's playing it.
Yeah,
I think earlier today.
I think it's still a counter deck to red, and something that's very powerful against 3-wish. Even though it's still the 1 extra cost, you're still gonna blow away red burn and 3-wish. The problem where it sucks at the moment on the current ladder though is everyone's playing blue, so they just unbound your unbound your Apex, or they phantasm your Apex, and you're like, oh, or you're creation your Apex and you play it for like 2 costs now, or 1 cost. Wait. Yeah, it's 2 costs because the creation costs 5. So when you play it for 2 and they unbound it into a 4-drop, you're like, oh.
Yeah, but it can't unbound your 6 Predators because you have a creation. You're just gonna outlast them. I guess they could have 6 actually, because 3 unbound and 3 mirror phantasm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they can creation their phantasm too. I've seen a lot of blue decks actually main deck creation as well.
Jesus. All right. You're right.
I thought it would be interesting now that it's 7 to see if Apex would run Spring Mochi instead of like the early Fairy or something like that. But I haven't seen much of it, so I don't know if it's been something that's been tested or it's just stayed the same or what. But I thought that would be pretty good because then you get the discount on the Apex even before you go through the combo of the creation and all that.
Yeah, I mean, that is something worth noting. Now there is this new archetype of Apex where you use Mochis, you use Windfalls, and you have Archons on the board, and you play an Apex, and you have a buffed Archon as well, and there's all this synergy you can try out. But
that's true.
I think it's pretty rough sometimes, though, when you do a Mochi, because you're playing more into the strengths of the enemy blue deck, because the enemy blue deck wants to unbound your stuff. And not only that, but when you Mochi an Apex Predator, sometimes you don't have the lands right away to play it, and you end up with your discount value stuck in your hand for a bunch of turns, and you just get snowballed and you lose.
Is it worse than having a Fairy on board that doesn't trigger, though?
Touche. I don't know.
I think it's enough to be a consideration, right? Like, I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure if it was or not, but...
All right.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
All right, so something we've seen a lot is Soul Eater, actually. Well, not. It's kind of funny. When the patch hit, I saw Soul Eaters everywhere. Again, people are trying it, and now I haven't seen it for a little bit. But Soul Eater now has Flying in Charge 3, and I felt like people were having fun with that. I think it was Lou who made a very, very efficient list for that that I saw people running. What do you guys think?
Pretty good.
Flying Charge 3?
I mean,
is it top tier now, or?
I don't know if it's top tier. It's a strong deck. Like people have been trying to figure out a way to play a sacrifice deck for quite a while because there are sacrifice cards there, right? Yep. Soul Eater, now that it has this movement mechanic, it's insanely better. And it was something that deck didn't have before, was a movement. Like it's been shown that having these movement mechanics is really strong in Faeria.
Yeah. How much cost was it, or is it Soul Eater?
It's
a 5 cost card.
It's 5. Yeah. So it's 5 and it grows. It's I think what is it like? It's 4/4 and grows plus. Is it plus 1?
5. It's 1/1.
It starts as, yeah, it's a 1/1 to start off, and it grows +1/+1 for every creature
Oh,
that
it's
has
just a
died on the
1/1.
board,
All right, yeah.
or every friendly creature that's died rather.
Yeah. So yeah, those of you watching who doesn't know, Soul Eater grow that's why we're talking sacrificial decks, because it's the duo colored card that is what is it? It's yellow and
Yellow-green.
Yellow-green, is it? And it grows for every sacrificed creature. So basically, all of a sudden, people are like, yeah! No. I mean, I think it was the flying and charge 3 that made it, like, before it was just, it didn't have the movement, it wasn't flying, and it wasn't charged. So it was just like, it had to walk on land, it was really slow. It was just not very good. But with the flying and charge, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, fuck, I can, like, reach anywhere and everywhere with it almost. And, yeah, like, just sacrifice everything that I have, and it will be a big one. Yeah.
Then, like, a big thing with it before is you kind of want to get them mid-game to later, because that's your win condition, right? Drop this huge Soul Eater and just move it out to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's now even more of a win condition because you can play it anywhere and do anything with it. You can go kill your opponent's harvesters, you can kill their big guy, or you can just go face. Whereas before, you were limited by where your lands were. If it was big and your opponent was able to react, now it's, no, you have to react next turn, or you're going to die.
Or you're going to take a lot of damage. Yeah.
Or a lot of damage, or lose a lot of control, either way.
Yeah, I mean, this is a card that has just been a huge surprise to me, because when I first went back to thinking about how my sack deck would look with a Soul Eater, I didn't think the Soul Eater would be a card I wanted to run even with this mobility, because I thought the sack archetype never really wanted to go past one desert, right? I thought you just wanted to make your one desert for Demon Wranglers and that was it, and just stay mostly green. But Soul Eater with the mobility to reach your opponent and kill their chargers and stuff, get the valuable trades, it is just so powerful right now that... yeah, I think there's a bunch of different ways of doing Soul Eater, and it's definitely very powerful now.
Mm-hmm. One quick second.
I was just gonna say this too. Does the new sacrifice deck miss the old Shaitan Scavenger?
Oh, I don't even know. I never used to run the Scavenger in my green-yellow sack, because I used to play green-yellow sack a lot back before. This was like 4 patches ago. And it was pretty strong, but it was mostly a green heavy base. And I don't know if the newer versions would use Shaitan Scavenger. Maybe they'd try it.
Because it used to be, again, for anyone, I know Scream's been doing this, just for anyone who is new in chat, Shaitan Scavenger now, it's a 4 Faeria, 2 Desert, 4/3, costs 2 less if you attacked a god this turn. But it used to be, I think the same discount, costs 2 less if you had just a creature died this turn.
Yeah, I think it was just any creature.
Any creature died this turn. So I was just asking Cap there if he thought that the sacrifice deck would run the old Scavenger in the way that it is now. Because I'm not sure. It was a card that I had considered just because even coming into the game, I could see green-yellow sacrifice being an archetype that was available. How good, I wasn't sure because I didn't have the cards to play it, but it was a card that I had considered, and then it got changed anyway, so...
Soul Eater, just quickly, is basically it's the sacrificial archetype's Zealous Crusader. It's basically like you're triggering this growth effect before you play it. So that's what it is, I think. Yeah.
Zealous Crusader, Firebringer, either comparison.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's another one too. Yeah, there's a few cards that has this type of mechanic that something makes it grow. And I like it. Like it's nice that there are just not one of that. Like it's not just the Zealous Crusader, it's not just the Firebringer. Like we have the Soul Eater that also now works really well. If it's too strong, I don't know. Is it too strong, or do you think it's good?
Soul Eater too strong? I think it's good where it's at.
It's good right now.
I think it had to be powerful with the mobility to get any play in the first place. So
and you do kind of if you're in the know-how of the meta, you'll see somebody starting to play sacrifice. You kind of start to expect it. You should be like, well, they should have a Soul Eater because they're running a sacrificial deck. It's just too good of a card to not include now, I think, in a sacrificial deck. So it's like you should expect them to drop these big flying charge 3 creatures eventually. So you should try and, I don't know what your strategy will be, but you should try and stop them. Rush face.
And the way sacrifice works, you kind of lose tempo early, don't you? Because you're playing on
your
less
turtle, you
value
defend, I think.
because you're sacrificing your own cards. So then you're going to need something big late game if you're still in the game. That would be my opinion, isn't it? Like,
I think it's usually actually the opposite, because usually you get insane tempo with sack, because you'll play like a Bloomstrite and then a Demon Wrangler, and you have a 5/2, a 2/1, and a discounted 0-cost green card, and you play that, and you get to snowball really early. But you're kind of trapped early in your base, and so Firestorm, anything like that, just kills your board.
The thing you have to do against like as soon as you notice them playing, like you should kind of get the idea of what a sacrificial deck looks like. You'll see which is the common targets, which is what's the name? Well, the thing that draws a card, the Bloom Sprite. There's a few very obvious ones. Death Wish Ghoul is also very good, obviously, for the value. And what you kind of need to do, because they like a good sacrificial player would probably save up so he can drop and sacrifice on the same turn. But if they're pressed a little bit, if you get some pressure and they're pressed on Faeria and they kind of feel like they have to drop something and wait a turn. I mean, they're playing it wrong if they're doing that, I guess. But what you need to do if they misplay by dropping something and not sacrificing at the same turn, you basically have to wish that you're running any removal so you can remove that sacrificial target for them, so they lose value. That's how they lose value, is by not being able to sacrifice. Yep. All right, so I guess that's a counter, or well, that's some way to think about it. Anyway, the last card here in the balance patch thing is 3 Wishes, which is now 2 Faeria. It used to cost nothing, and it requires 2 deserts, 2 forests, 2 lakes, and 2 mountains. And you gain 3 life. It used to be 4 life, and copy the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. They cost 3 Faeria less, so you get a 3 Faeria discount. It used to be a 2 Faeria discount, and you cannot wish for more wishes. So if the mirror matchup is happening in your the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck happens to be a 3 wishes, you just don't see or get that. You just get something else. Yeah. Okay. So it was nerfed by being it now has a cost of 2 Faeria. The life gain is
nerf.
1 less. That was a nerf. But it was buffed in the way it discounts by 3 instead of 2.
Right.
So it got rebalanced. Like, obviously the life is a nerf, but it costs more, but you get more discount, right? So,
I mean, now you're paying 2 for a 3 life gain and a bunch of discounted cards. Like, I thought it was... Like, I was even surprised that it was released the way it was. By being a 0 Faeria card. I was just like, what? Like, you're not paying anything? Like, they're like, well, you're paying, we have to put down these lands. I'm like, well, sure, but... So once you trigger it, it's like, GG. It was weird.
Yeah, I mean...
Free discounts are pretty good.
Yeah. I was going to say, at first glance, to most people reading that balance change, they probably think it's a buff. They're like, wait. I get discounts by 3 now, so technically I'm getting a 7 Faeria advantage instead of 6. But when you look at cards like Tale of the Old Turtle, for example, it discounts 3 cards by 2, and it costs 5.
6
now, or sorry, it costs 6 now. Right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the old version.
It's exactly its own value.
Yeah.
So it's equal, right?
Yeah.
Now, how much more insane would it be if it cost 0 and just drew you 3 cards? It would be pretty insane, right? So having this upfront cost is actually a pretty big nerf to it, despite the fact that you get even more of a discount. Yeah. So I think if they had just made it, 1 or 2 costs with the old version, maybe that would be a better way of balancing it. But I think this was the best of both worlds. It's still extremely powerful, but now it's not. You can't just wish on 0 mana, which was really, really absurd, as you mentioned.
That was one of the strongest things, right? It was 3 wishes. As soon as you had the land, you could play it, see
even
what
if you
got,
no Faeria.
Yeah, and then choose your whole turn, right, with all the options. Now, paying that 2 Faeria up front is an option you have to consider. What if I don't get something good enough to play? What else do I do with the rest of my hand? And then you have to weigh that against what if you get something good. Like, that cost is so massive that you can't just play it for free just to see what you get.
Yeah.
You actually now have to consider what you're going to do.
Because you could technically, like, you could be playing creatures and stuff, like, because playing Three Wishes kind of was, like, you need to play kind of, like, control or very defensively. Like, you needed to, you obviously stay alive and in somewhat of control on the board, so you don't, so you don't, like, just die on the turn you get your 3 wish, because you wanted to see that 3 wish card. That was your win condition, and you get that, and you come back, or you then win with the cards you draw from your opponent that gets discounted. And like, if you played something, if you're like, well, I have to play this, but it's all right. It doesn't cost me anything to play my 3 wish card. It's free. Now you have to at least invest 2 Faeria. Like, so if you're sitting on like 4 or 5 Faeria on your turn that you get a 3 wish, let's say you have 5 Faeria, and you have like a 4 cost drop or something like that, you're like, oh, I have to think, what do I do? Like, it requires a bit of thinking and more. I guess it's like Kappa said about another card earlier here we discussed. I guess to me it feels more strategic now. Like, it's not just like, you know, just get the card and drop it. It's just you have to think more about how you play it.
Yep.
I think. Yeah,
and the life is actually pretty considerable. It's only 1, but if you recognize that you're playing against a 3 wishes, they're going to outvalue you in the long game. So you have to start like turning the aggression, right? So having that 1 less heal sometimes can mean the game. There are games that are decided by 1 life. Like, it can be pretty good, or pretty big nerf to the wishes player if they had that 1 less life, or 2 or 3 if they've played all 3 wishes.
Yeah, I think in closing, I'd say it's still a really powerful card, and certainly there's going to be a lot of decks that are based off it. But this was a healthier change. I like it.
Yeah. I actually just remember seeing Cappuccino's streaming and playing. This was before the change. Your Luduan deck, and because the 3 wishes was very common back then, I think. And every time you ran into it, you were basically laughing like, "Ha ha ha! You're getting so bad cards." Because you were running so cheap. Like, it was just a token deck, basically. That Luduan list was just cheap, very cheap tokens, and you were just laughing at them. You're like, haha, take your 3 wishes. like you're just getting shit. Because it's obviously not what they're hoping for. It's not like a freaking Battletoad, or you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a running joke is that when you wish against a blue player, you're only getting blue cards. Feels bad, man. But there is some truth to it too. Like, you get unbounds, you get enchantments, and those kind of cards are combo cards, and you don't really have good pieces for it. You won't get the same value as the blue player. So
that's kind of another thing in the way that it changed, right? Just like you said, Gabriel enchantment, it only costs 2, so the extra discount now on 3 wishes actually doesn't affect something like that at all, because 2 discount or 3 is exactly the same. So that being changed that way for the upfront cost actually can be more of a nerf when you get those cards, right?
Right.
Well, I think getting blue cards is the least favorable thing for a 3 wishes player, right? Like, just getting blue cards overall isn't like they like it when they're facing red. They get removal. Yeah. Maybe same with yellow. If they're facing green, they're getting big creatures. Maybe, like, yeah.
I think the ideal is you get yellow cards. Yellow cards are really good.
Yellow cards are really good. Yeah. I mean, if you got a vampire discounted, you're like, ka-ching, baby, back before the change, before this patch that we're looking at. All right. Well, I guess we could just mention the rarity changes. Runan's Messenger is now epic. It was a common. Runan's Avenger is now rare. That was an epic. Sagami Elder is now common. That was a rare. Basically, green got rarity changes.
Yeah, it was just a change, just because of the Messenger rebalance. It's a pretty good card, so they changed it to epic.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about that? Because this changes the way Pandora's drafted for green. Now they have a lot crappier cards to draft. Like, if you see Soulbound Sagamis, are you really happy to be seeing those in Pandora?
I don't know. It was
I don't
Sagami Elder
mind-
though.
I don't mind the
was-
Elder.
The Elder was the one that
Just-
got common to rare.
Yeah, you can kind of get
Mm.
some value off of it.
But yeah,
Uh,
that's what it is affecting, is like how likely you are to see them in Pandora draft. I think that's also probably part of the rarity change, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think if Messenger was a common,
Oh, it actually
you know,
says the
people would
following
be
cards
getting-
were swapped in rarity in regards to the effects this balance patch will have on Pandora. There we go. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't reading that part. So
Yeah, if Messengers were common, they were just flooding Pandora. I think there'd be a lot of people upset about that.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. And yeah, so obviously with these changes, I guess, well, let's just go through it. As a result of these balance changes, cards that have been reduced in power will be available for their full disenchant cost for 1 week. So now that we're doing this episode, it's too late. If you're watching now, it's too late to fully disenchant. We're just going through this because it's a major balance patch. But the cards were Apex Predator, 3 Wishes, Shaden Vampire, Death Wish School, Radram Sagittarius. Basically anything you could consider a nerf overall was considered give full disenchant, so that if you crafted them or anything, you can get all that back. Yeah. All right. So that's that. Awesome. So before we do the next step here in our notes in the show, we'll take a 5-minute break and be back after that. Get some beverages in our drinks, glasses, have a toilet break, whatever you guys feel like you need to do. So we'll be back in just 5 minutes. Alrighty, here we go. We are back. Awesome, that was 5 minutes.
Perfect.
I think that was exactly 5 minutes. Alrighty, there we go. Everything looking good. So are you guys? Me and Scorch having t-shirts. Kappa coming here all dressed up with a nice shirt. That's nice. All right. Let's see. We just did latest patch. We basically have everything else here that's interesting. God. Okay, I don't know where to begin. We obviously have the big stuff, the solo content impressions. It's been out for shit. When was that? It was this week, right?
Yeah, it was Tuesday night for me, but it was Wednesday. Basically, yeah. Well, what do you call it? Tuesday or Wednesday at midnight?
Something like that.
Because it was midnight of the 24th, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll do that. Solo content, basically, if you're watching this now or later and you haven't been into Faeria yet, before this week, basically, we had, I think you could challenge the AI, you had a prologue, and you had a few challenges, it was called. It was kind of like a, campaign or something like that. It was like, I think it was 3 or 4 matches against each color with increasing difficulty. It was good, but it wasn't like something, I don't think, for people coming to Faeria and maybe wanting more of a PvE experience and more of a, just a single player experience. It wasn't very much. Like, it was quickly done, and they did make it reward you, I think. I think they made it so that it rewarded you if you did it like a little bit up to level 10 or something like that. Like you could level up using it, actually. But obviously playing that over and over again gets kind of boring. So what they've done now is just one of many steps towards the single player experience that they are adding to the game. As the game is progressing towards 1.0 sometime early next year. I think they call this version 0.8. Was the number right? Yeah, thank you for nodding. Yep, good. 0.8, and the game went free to play on the 24th. Yeah, so Wednesday then. I'm cheating now. I'm looking at the calendar. 24th went free to play. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Technically, it was Tuesday night because they actually did the whole midnight release thing with it. I was actually surprised. I was like, oh, they're taking down the servers for maintenance for like 3-4 hours prior to midnight. I was like, okay. All right. Well, I guess it's a good time to do it now. But I was still not expecting the whole, patch update experience to drop until like sometime midday, right, on the 24th. But so it happened. It also means that if you are watching this on YouTube, for example, and you haven't tried Faeria, then it's now free to play or free to access. Like you can just basically pick it up and play it now, how much you want, which is great. And they've added how many missions and stuff? Do you guys have the numbers?
Oh my god, I have no idea.
I have no idea
on how many actual quests there were.
But a bunch of quests, a bunch of puzzles, which is my favorite part, and also challenges. I wasn't aware that was a difference until I was basically playing it. I did puzzles yesterday, and I started playing. I did some of the quests before today's Kappa Council. So if you go back into past broadcasts, you'll see a bit of it. I'll probably actually continue doing it after the Kappa Council. I will be playing more Faeria, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna try and get God rank or if I'm gonna do the solo content. But it was quite fun actually doing the solo content. I ended up doing I just wanted to do something fun, since I'm thinking I'll play the AI, maybe it won't be as good as a real player, so I made an all neutral deck. Which is I call it dumb fun. So
nice.
Yeah, but as soon as I saw like challenge, like, oh, you can only try this once, which I thought meant like I only had one try, but somebody told me like, yeah, you have only one try, but you can't retry it, but you can still get it again after, like in the future.
Yeah.
So I was a bit thrown off by that. But yeah, okay, so I guess this is obviously for Scorch and Cappuccino. Like, I'm not sure. I know Scorch has done all of this solo content. Have you done that, Kappu?
I've done almost all of it. Almost all of it.
Almost.
96%?
Yeah, I mean, I've done probably around 80%, but then I had the Probably the last like 15% spoiled by just seeing someone else do it, and I was like, oh, well,
Yeah.
no,
there
there's
is
no
a there
point
is
for
a
me to do it.
very
I know how
cool
to do
looking
it.
card back at the end of it. There's
Yeah.
a card back. So yeah, again, everybody watching, like when you've done all the solo content, you get a card back, and it looks pretty sweet. And if you're free to play, actually, if you don't have the full collection, you get like a shit ton of gold. You get card packs for some of the challenges. Like basically, what did you say, Scorch? You're free to play. How many? Yeah.
Yeah, I lost to Fugaro twice out of, I think it's like 16 attempts at it. So with that many, like all the packs from beating him and then all the gold, I opened 39 packs afterwards.
So yeah, Scorch did the solo content, opened 39
It's pretty
packs.
insane.
39 packs. That's actually really, really good. So
And I actually really like this. Your daily quests still count. So
actually, I actually
it's-
had a daily quest. Maybe it was just for this, but it was like defeat Runen.
Yep. Yeah, they've put those in now for the solo stuff. But I was thinking that like the solo content wouldn't count towards your daily quests. It would only be do these in ranked or Pandora, right? Well, I shouldn't even say that, but like normal constructed play or Pandora. But the solo still counted towards it. So I'm sure a pack or two was thanks to doing the quests
So
over
if
the
you
2
have
days.
a daily
but-
quest that's like play 20 red cards, you get that from playing 20 red cards.
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty good. So since I feel I haven't done enough, I really want to do the puzzles. I gotta say though, the challenge. What's his name? Lou.
Fugaro.
Figaro, something like that. It's really. It was actually a challenge because he was playing treasure cards left and right. I was like, motherfracker. And I think it was a level 10 challenge I got. Like again, I had everything randomized for me. I didn't start at 1, so it's weird. But yeah, the one thing I feel that also if you're new to Faeria, again, if you didn't see Faeria before the 24th, even the main menu got animated. We didn't even have that image. Like I think it was animated before, but we didn't have that image. Like it's so rich and beautiful and moving, and
So nice.
I just love it, except the sound effects. I want to turn off the sound effects, and there's no turn off sound effects anywhere, which pisses me off. But it looks fucking amazing, and so does the quest and challenges. I actually, when I first saw it, I think it was on a stream. Yeah, it was on Scorch streaming here on Metagamingtv. I was like, wait a second, the opponent Wells looks different. And I was like, I jumped straight into game,
Whoa.
just opened like a practice game or something against AI. Like I just opened a random like a game, and I was like, it doesn't do that in like normal matches. But I actually thought that was a good idea though, like because you have these cards that trigger off your opponent Wells, and maybe they could look different. Could that be a thing?
Yeah, and that's something that is coming apparently. Because when I saw it, I jumped into Discord right away, messaged Atmaz like, "Are we getting something like this?" Because I love Seifer's. His orb base is awesome, and then each of the wells, they're basically just like two little red eyes poking out right over the level of the water. They look so nice.
Oh, cool.
I want it so bad.
Oh, you like want it as a cosmetic?
Yeah, like, and so I asked if we were ever going to see those in constructed play, not just versus AI. So apparently, and he just said like maybe with like 6 or 7 A's.
Oh, that's like
So-
a yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like a.
And then
That's like a. I don't know when, but.
yeah, and it was either I want to say it was either him or Eminer talking later through the week said something about like that there would be these cosmetic packs. So orb well, avatar, and then the wells, something like that. It'll be like that, but that's the early spoiler release that hopefully we'll get something like that eventually. But yeah, they're so cool.
Yeah, I'm really hoping for something like that, including hopefully they do different background, like different boards as well, because I don't know if you guys remember the Pandora update when they first added treasures, but there was like the black background
I
board
actually
that you
missed
could play
that
on
one.
in space.
I heard about
Everyone
it
said you were
in.
playing in space. And it
missed
looked
it.
so cool. Like I love the board. So if they ever had an option to buy that,
Like it was literally
hey,
space.
You have a
like
sale
it looked
instantly.
like it was space. Because I heard
Yeah,
about
it
it
was
and
kinda
I
like
never
you were in
experienced
space.
it. I was so sad.
It
Oh.
was really cool. And yeah, I mean, as well, one of the puzzles, I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a different board state where like the game is actually just
Oh.
altered. And so, you know,
Oh.
if they ever come up with like different game modes, that would be really cool as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, there's pretty
Definitely.
much they could do with this game. It's as a little fanboy who backed this on Kickstarter, I obviously really do hope that Faeria, keeps growing and takes off. Like, I mean, so far it looks to be doing really well, and it's so nice to see so many new players coming to the game now. I just hope it continues. I hope we're sitting here doing like season 3 of Kappa Council a year from now or something like that. We'll see, but yeah, like so much potential. Like you said, game modes, just custom boards. Like right now, it's random what board you get when you play. But it would be so nice if I just like with my avatar and everything could just select what board I would like to have, right? Like that would be cool. Like just sell me a
Yeah.
very cool looking, devilish red themed, cipher themed maybe board. That would be great. So yeah, and they're looking at that. Like, we actually haven't talked about that. They added the gold fountain as a new thing to buy in the shop, which obviously isn't much a thing for people with the full collection. And Scourge here, by the way, guys, is one of the guys who has gone free to play. But I think you have like the full collection by now, right? Like you just recently got it.
Almost, yeah. I was counting earlier. Like I have almost 2,000 Memoria.
Yeah.
I'm missing, maybe a handful of legendaries, and then just a bunch of epics, but most that aren't really played that much. Anything that I would play, I've crafted.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'm not sure if the fountain is for you, but I think it was like €5 or dollars ish, like that, and I think you get 600. You get 600 Faeria. 600 Faeria. Pay to win. No, you get 600 gold instantly, and then over the next 30 days, every day you get 60 every day gold for the next 30 days. You don't have to log in every day to get it. Like it adds up. So you do not like. When I read it, I was like, here's a good way for them to make people log in every day, to the game. But no. Abrakam wouldn't do that. They're too nice. You can just buy it and log in 30 days later and have what is that, like 2,400 gold or something total. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is awesome. So they basically given you a really nice way to get to buy gold for a very, I guess, good price level.
Yeah.
Actually. So, I like
Yeah.
that. I just want to see more cosmetics. And, the big one that makes me sad and upset, and if the devs are hearing this, and there's already like 2 Reddit threads about it, and I've upvoted both of them,
I knew you were going to hate this.
is that the Black Little Wisp avatar is gone, because they replaced it with, I don't know, some random, like, again, he looks awesome. The new default avatar they added looks awesome. He's sick. Like, it's so cool. It's so Faeria-esque, the art style and everything. But I loved the Black Little Wisp dude, and he's gone. And he was the one I tried using something else. You know what? They made me buy the Cypher one because of it. Like, I did not want to use the default one. I've been on the fence to get, like, I've been wanting that Cypher rat dude. Like, he's so badass looking. I love how he looks, and I had like 16,000 gold. So I was like, it's not. They didn't even like really get any money from me, but I was like, okay, I buy him. But he looks so odd in my Kickstarter orb, which is the one with the vines and stuff. Like, I want to get back my black mystery wisp. So.
Yeah, I don't know if you should say that if you want them to not take it away, because it sounds like they succeeded, but I agree.
If they release it with like a freaking $10 price tag, they get $10 from me.
All right, there you go. But yeah,
but they shouldn't though, because people
well.
had it. Like, they shouldn't take that away and then put a price tag on it. They should add that. What they should do is basically let that black little avatar be default to anyone who was prior to the free to play version 0.8 or free to play, and then they could put it on for like $3 price tag or something like that. I think that would be fair, because I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
Just everybody who had it should still have it. I think. Yeah, I miss him. It's like
I was
I lost a
surprised they
pet.
removed
It's like I lost a my dog or something. I'm really sad.
Yeah, yeah. I was surprised they removed it because like you've got one for each of the colors, which the blue one really annoys me now because it squishes down.
Oh yeah,
really...
they've animated them more, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look like they animated the fire or desert one that much more. The fire one, the face moves around a little bit, but the blue one, it like squishes down really, really tiny together, and the green one like really sways back and forth. But like that black one was the neutral essentially.
Yeah, I felt so too.
Of those, so I was surprised they removed it and put in this Wanderer one instead.
Like I said, yeah, the Wanderer. Like I said, it's it feels like the Black Little Wisp was basically a placeholder, and that they were planning to put something else as the default one, something that looked more. I mean, I understand they added something that looked amazing, much more detail. Obviously, probably took 10 times more time to draw up the Wanderer default avatar, but. Yeah, I think they just didn't. They didn't think about it. They didn't think about it. I think too much when they just, I think they were just like, yeah. We're gonna add a better, more cooler looking default avatar, and they just did not think about the fact that people had been playing the game now for months and being used to the Black Wisp, and some of us actually really attached to him. And yeah. So that's that. And regarding solo content, I think it's amazing. I think it's sick. It is Faeria 0.8, even though I want to say 2.0 so almost. It's like they added so much more with that. And even me, who played a lot of ranking in Pandora, I was just like, oh yeah, that's solo content. Just like, yes, awesome. So I'm happy. Yeah. I think it's great. I think we all agree that it's great.
Yeah, the puzzles are super well designed, that they actually show off a bunch of mechanics that you wouldn't normally think of. There's a couple of them, without giving too much away, but that you have to target your own creature with spells that you wouldn't normally think of, right? Or certain things like that, that show off mechanics that you wouldn't normally think of, and they do get increased in difficulty as you go. A whole bunch of really cool stuff with them.
You know what they should add? Go.
I was just about to say that normally when I go to a new card game or something and I do the solo missions or whatever in the game, it's boring. You just attack face, get it over with. Whereas in Faeria, they've succeeded to actually do something where even if you're a competitive player, you play that and you learn from it. It's super important to do. So hats off to the dev team on that. They did a fantastic job.
The puzzles feels inspired by what Joke did, right? The YouTube video. I mean,
the one.
The
one. Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm gonna spoil this. He made another one like 2-3 weeks ago. I was in it, but it's not been released yet. I'm waiting for the damn release because I want to see other people struggle with that puzzle because it was
Well, I saw. I think it was just earlier today in Discord. Somebody said they got an unintended way of solving that one because they got a brute instead of by Unbound on their frog instead of on getting Krog.
Oh, you're talking about the
I
the
saw that in
one.
chat too.
Yeah, so it's that one obviously unintended would not be as consistent, but a whole bunch of the puzzles later on have multiple solutions.
Yeah.
Which is really cool too. That you can explore different options, obviously, as long as you don't beat it first.
So the thing they need to add, obviously now with this, is a puzzle builder, right? And just do a freaking Steam, what is it called? Steamworks integration with the game, so people can create puzzles, upload them to Steamworks, people can download them and rate them, and that would be freaking amazing.
Yep.
Just allow you to build puzzles.
Hopefully we get the option to go back through and do them as well. No reward afterwards, or randomly you get 1 or 2 a day or something like that. But to go back through and do the puzzles and challenges, hopefully is something that they look to add as well, because that would be really cool to go back through and do them again.
No, I think it's awesome. What else? There we go. swapped pages.
I was gonna say some of the AI through the challenges is not that good though. Krog especially. And Krog is kind of supposed to be
I'm running Magda in my dumb and fun all neutral deck against the solo content. So against Krog, Magda gave me Krog. I was like, I'll defeat Krog with himself. But I didn't waste time to do that. But I was planning to drop him. I dropped a Barrow that I got from Magda, and I forgot the fact that he was transferring the mountains I put into lakes. I was like, God damn it! So that was annoying.
Like there was a few times when, as soon as I got a little bit aggressive onto the computer's side, they started drawing cards instead of placing lands, and that, like, I had it happen against Kaleem once. He had one desert, but then I got aggressive and he just started drawing cards instead of placing lands. So then he could never play anything because he only had one desert out.
Yeah.
So some of the AI is kind of it's AI, right?
Yeah, it's AI, but I don't think the AI in Faeria is extremely developed. Like, I don't think they've put, you know, I don't know how big their team is exactly. I don't know what expertise they have on the team, but like my gut feeling, I mean, Faeria is an indie game. We gotta remember that, and I really don't think they have somebody working like in the AI department. You know what I mean? Like they don't have that type of AI to or that type of resources to put in. So I expect the AI to be kinda simplistic, you know, and obviously a lot scripted. I think, like, you know, just basically if this and if that, and just do this, and, you know, some archetypes. So, like you say, if you play against the AI in a way that they didn't foresee, or that the AI just isn't very strong to react against, then you might see some weird interactions, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that. But it's what it is. Again, it's good enough, I think. I think the more fun is the challenges where they actually kind of... like, so when they make the AI cheat, like when you face somebody who has treasures, or you do puzzles, which is, you know, set up like, oh, you'll never see a board like this, but hey, it's fun, right? Like, it's supposed to be a challenge. Then I don't mind, actually, the AI cheating like that.
Those were some of the most fun ones with the different boards.
Yeah. And that's a good way to make an AI more challenging without having to make the AI smarter, you know? Like, you just give them more tools, or more Faeria, or just more to do everything. I think that's good. All right. Okay, so, yeah, we've gone through basically solo content, avatars, orb wells. We like cosmetics. We love that. All right, let's go up here. So basically, I want to just, you know, I think this is towards the end of today here. Oh, no, actually, we skipped Pandora as well. Well, okay, so Pandora then, let's go into that. Pandora changed a while back. Is it like, how many weeks now? 3, maybe? Is it beginning of the month? God damn it, me and dates, whatever.
I don't remember exactly what the patch was.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, Pandora changed a while back. For those of you watching who might be new to Faeria, Pandora used to have a different mechanic. Pandora is still under evaluation and development from the devs. They're still changing how things work a little bit. But so if you played Pandora now and you experience the treasure cards, it used to be a bit different before. You draw some shards, which eventually trigger Pandora, but it used to be that there were no treasures cards that you draft, but instead you had random shards that had similar effects, but they were random. You never knew which one you were getting or when you were getting them, but things like that. And people didn't like that. The devs reacted to it. They changed it into the Pandora we have now. And I just wanted to know what you guys, Scorched and Kappa, think, and you guys watching this on YouTube maybe can put in comments. What do you think about Pandora now compared to then? Now that you played it for a while, is it, like, how much better is it? Like, just what do you think? Is it good?
Take it away, Kat.
All right. Actually, I need to think about my answer, so why don't you go first?
I'll go then. I mainly play Pandora on stream. I love it now. Basically, one of the biggest things was that RNG factor before. You would draw a shard, like Garrett Scales or something, and all of a sudden the board that you worked so hard to outvalue your opponent throughout the game is just gone. And it really swung the game back in a way that you couldn't control, and that was the biggest thing. Now, you can draft the treasures that have synergy with your deck, fill some weaknesses, things like that. So it's so much more the way that a draft mode should be, where if you're playing like a blue deck, for instance, you can take something like the Ruby so that you have some AoE. I have loved the Bloodstone Golem. It's been a fantastic. It's been a very fun card for me. Basically, I feel like every treasure, or at least the stronger treasures, are the ones that have an instant, like, game-changing effect. Earthfire Shaker's a really good one in that instance. Kind of the same way Vampire used to be, right? It could clear stuff and leave a huge body on board. I think there are some that are, like, obviously Hammer and Dark Crystal are like top tier. I don't know if they're broken per se, but it feels like some of them, because they're all rare. I think they're all like rarities. So when all of them come up, they're the same, right? But it feels like some of them could have different rarities, so that you would see the less used ones more. I really like it. That's a way
to balance this, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't know if they would ever do that, just because the draft might not be set up to do it that way. Obviously, like when you get a selection of cards, they're all the same rarity, right? So I don't know if they could set the treasures on a different system where you would get like one rare, one epic, one legendary. Sometimes, like most of the time, you get just 3 normal rarity, but every so often there would be a legendary thrown in there. I don't know if that's something that could work, but yeah, I really like the treasures in the way they are now.
Kappa.
Yeah, and to go off that, I agree. When it used to be just treasures or shards randomly activating like Garrett Steel, was really tilting. So
yeah,
I'm glad they've gone away from that and had it be more of a strategy of, do I want this treasure to suit my deck, or do I want this treasure? And now you know when it's going to happen, when people are drawing treasures. It's not just completely random. So I think they've done a great job there. In terms of treasure strength, I think it's pretty good, because you want to be able to play these like OP cards or slightly OP cards and have fun with that. So I think that it's a lot of fun playing Pandora. I think there's a few issues with the fact that you never want Pandora to open on your turn. You always want to manipulate it so it opens on your opponent's turn. And I don't know how they can balance that, because you either let the person have first take on treasure, or you let the person have more Faeria. So it's like,
you lose out on a card draw. Well,
I think that's the bigger one.
I'm really I'm shocked they haven't at least fixed that, because I know they know that it's like that, because it's been talked about on Discord and from Vanguard testers that they know that it's like that. But I really think that if Pandora triggers on your turn, you get less Faeria than your opponent. You also don't get a card to draw. It's like, what? And that can happen 3 times if you're the most unlucky son of a bitch. Like, it's... I don't know. That's the one thing that... Like, I love Pandora. Like, it is really fun, and I actually agree with everything you guys are saying. But it's like, that card draw that you lose. Like, maybe that's a thing. Like, because... I don't know. Like...
Well, and I think another thing of it is the wells instantly empty. So
oh yeah, that's true. They do.
When you get 3 and then your opponent gets 6, the way it used to be was you would get 3, but the wells are full for the last time. So as soon as they're empty, they don't refill. So you could still get 5 or 6 Faeria on your turn.
Yeah, you could
by harvesting. True. But now you are actually you're restricted by 3 Faeria.
You get 3 Faeria. Well, you can't harvest the wells because they emptied. Yeah.
Yeah, the wells deactivate, but if you have a creature touching the well when Pandora is drawn, you do get that 1 mana. So you can't move a creature to collect. But if you are touching it, you get the mana before they before they disappear.
All right.
So sometimes you'll get 3, sometimes you'll get 4, depending on how many creatures you have.
But, I think they shouldn't empty, though. They should just be like, that's the last Faeria that exists, and if you harvest them, you harvest them. Like, I think they should just be there. Like, they don't need to be empty,
because that's another way that it balances a little more, right?
Yeah. Well, kind of. I mean, if you don't have
Depends on the board
gatherers, then it
Yeah.
still sucks you. Because
Mm.
what's even worse then is if you don't have gatherers on the board, Pandora opens on your turn. You can't touch any wells. You only get 3 mana,
And you
and then
leave that
it's
for
your
your
opponent's
opponent.
turn. They get 6, and then they get 4 from the wells. So
But then if it hard empties the way it currently does at the end of your turn,
That could be a
right?
thing.
So
that-
the turn that it opens, you get 3 plus whatever you can harvest. Your opponent gets 6, but the wells are dead at that point.
Okay, yeah, that would be a thing.
right.
Because then again, depending on the board state, you either get 3, 4, 5, 6, possibly 7, but that's a difficult one to do, right?
Yeah.
And then your opponent gets 6. That could be a way to balance it a little more.
Yeah, I think what I would like to see them do just to start is what you guys mentioned. Let the person actually draw a card.
Yeah.
Have it so when the puzzle is drawn, you also get to draw a card. And then perhaps instead just give the person that gets the first treasure 6 Faeria. Just have it so he can't get any mana from the wells, and just give him the 6 Faeria and the first
Yeah.
treasure.
Okay, so then we're gonna have that's what's gonna happen. Then is it's gonna be then actually people might be like, do you want to trigger the Pandora on your turn then?
Oh, I think you would. I think the
Yeah,
ideal would be to trigger on your turn, but that's something that's proactive. Like that's something that it should be. You should be like, oh hey, if I draw a card, I get to open it on my turn. Not I can't draw a card because I'm going to get super punished if I do that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe that at least
It
let us
does-
try that version, devs. Let us try that version, please. I mean, first of all, like we said, whoever opens Pandora, let them not lose a card draw like that. The thing is this: it's
Yeah.
the automatic card draw you lose. Because if it's your turn and you draw a card and it's not Pandora, and you then draw a card and you trigger Pandora, then you do get the card you were looking for as well. You do get your card. It's only when you automatically trigger it that you lose a card draw. That's dumb shit. Like I don't. That's what I don't get. So hopefully they fix that to begin with. But please let us test. Like just make it so that whenever Pandora triggers, or when it automatically triggers, I guess we should say maybe you get 6 Faeria, something like that. Or yeah, just make it.
Yeah.
I'm just like trying to.
Because
wrap my head
then at
around
least
it.
we can test first player advantage, right?
True.
And I'm sure they've done a bunch of that internally, but yeah.
Yep. Well, overall, it seems that we all very much like Pandora as it's fun.
It's in a really good state, I think, other than the opening turn.
Yeah, it's opening of Pandora. We're not super happy with how it works right now, but overall, it's a cool, good mode. Needs some few more tweaks and fixes, and it's awesome. It's fun. It's different from other games, obviously. Yeah. All right. That's Pandora. I think we don't have much more. We have the monthly cup that is obviously really, really, really interesting, and we do have. Let's see. We do have 2 qualifiers that's happened. So we do have. Basically, we know. Shit, how many players is that? That's like 16 players that we know for a fact.
Yep.
Is in it from the qualifiers. I'm just gonna read them off this list that Scorch added. So it's Kenthic, Saluji, Matthew, Strudel, Palorn, Modnik, Ibrande, Lou, Heavy, Crunchy Bacon, Nightingale, Mayhem, Imperia, Kingdance, Frodaddy, Freeze. The current top 8 players. Is that actually? That's
only-
not. Yeah, that's only 4.
1, 2, 3. I only added 4 there.
Well,
My
okay. I guess we can just go to the website eSport.
Oh,
Right?
you're going.
Yeah,
I was
and
gonna do this.
Smurf It Up is also King Dan's, so...
Oh, okay. I assumed by the name that it was somebody's Smurf.
Smurf it up. Smurf
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah.
And
Now,
also, the
Bobby-
invited players
You're
are
still
Donkey.
2 of the top 3, aren't you, Cap?
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see. So
I have 2
Donkey
names.
74, Donkey 74, Gravekeeper are the 2 invited players from last tournament because they ended up top 2. And then there's 2 invites to be announced on top of that, and the community voted currently. Have they closed that yet, or is it still open?
No, it's open till the season reset.
Community favorites, let's see here. Community favorites right now is A.W. Leonard, the Alienware guy. I guess he gets his vote from promoting it on his stream and stuff. Garma, Stek, Minijack. Minijack being a player and streamer, I think. If I click vote for your favorite, I just want to see who's contesting these guys. Come on, website, load faster. Alright, we need a buff to these servers. Yeah, it's taking really slow. God dang it. Alright.
Have you voted? Have you guys
Oh, crap,
voted?
I haven't voted. Alright, who should I vote for?
No. I think
wow.
I think when
By
I checked
my
it
vote.
earlier when I added these, Cappuccino, you're in like 6th. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it just refreshed. There we go. Cappuccino is actually in 6th place. You don't need to be voted on, Capu. Like, you're in the top 8. It's alright. Who would I vote for? I would vote for Aquablood. I'm gonna vote for Aquablood. I have to sign in. Oh god, okay, I need to sign in. I'm gonna try and remember to vote next time. This site is so slow though. Holy shit, esports.faeria.com is the slowest website on the planet.
Don't mention it, because now everyone's gonna go to slow it down even more.
That's exactly what's happening right now. Let's see if I click ranking. Maybe I can quickly... Alright, now I have 3 tabs. I'm basically DDoSing this site myself. Oh, Lord. Wait, what? Modnik says he voted for Forsen. Does he even have... What? Is he even on that list? Alright, here we go.
Yeah.
Faeria's ladder ranking. Alright, top 8 right now is Cappuccino, Helios of Flame, Cappuccino, Bobby, Smurf It Up, King Dance, Lou, Donkey. So basically, Cappuccino has 2 of the top 8. King Dance has 2 of the top 8. So that's 4 spots of the top 8 just basically gone. Not really. King Dance qualified, didn't he? So he doesn't even count. So basically that would put Stek, Sweetie, and Modnik in the top 8 at the moment. Because that's 3 spots.
Modnik qualified already.
Okay, so
And-
Pelorn.
And Bobby was disqualified from one of the previous seasons, so I'm
What?
not sure if
Oh, he
Bobby's a
was?
Smurf or if
Hmm.
he just couldn't make it to the tournament. So
Interesting.
I think Bobby's a Smurf as well.
Yeah, it feels like who nicknames Bobby? Come on, whoever.
I know, right?
Who uses their own name, really?
I
Like,
mean-
come on. Lou and I were smart enough just to do our own names.
What? Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, Cappuccino. Like, yeah, you didn't like really hide it, right? What did Lou do? What's Lou's Smurf?
Lou is Lou 90 and then just Lou with no 90.
Oh, he has a. Okay, I thought Lou 90. Which one is his real?
And I think Anti-Red has a Smurf too. Anti-Red is Anti-Red and then just Anti.
I have a question to all you Smurfers out there. Which is so Cappuccino then, because he can at least answer. So when you make a Smurf account, first of all, I guess you have to make a Steam account, right? And the game is free to play
Yeah.
now. But before it was free to play, you basically just bought access. But did you go full collection?
Yeah, so I play free to play on my main account, and it's because I really loved unlocking cards. Like, I actually
Yeah.
kind of hate just getting all the cards at once, because then you're like, well, now there's no progression in the game. There's nothing to do other than just fine-tune decks. And so, I wanted to play the game and just unlock everything gradually, and I had a lot of fun doing that. But then once I got more competitive and I wanted to have this Smurf account, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of really happy to support the devs. So I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll just buy early access and buy the full collection.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
mean,
what I did on my
when you
Smurf
did that,
account.
you probably already had about 1,000 hours in the game or something. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, you've gotten your value. You're basically paying after you've had your value, basically. That's kind of nice. Yeah, like I would say before the game got free to play, because now it's very easy to make a Smurf account, but you either have to grind out the collection if you want to be competitive, because a lot of the people who make Smurf accounts, if people don't know this, is competitive players who want to get more practice in and get practice in without people maybe knowing who they are, except Cappuccino, who actually made his Smurf account called Cappuccino. But some people try and be sneaky about it, and so to do that, it's so beautiful that you can buy the full collection. And some people are like, I'm running into a Smurf. But the thing is still on the ladder when the good players keep playing, they just fly up the ladder so quickly. Very few people are gonna be facing these Smurfs. Also, it's also a way for people like Cappuccino to maybe have 2 accounts to climb the ladder, and if he's performing poorly on one account, you can try at least to perform better on another account, so you have a bigger chance maybe to actually get into the top 8 to qualify for the tournament. So there's a few different ways of doing it, and I really don't mind myself, because I think, like we just heard here, Cappuccino's like, well, I'm gonna buy the full collection because I need all the cards to be competitive. So basically, they're, for every Smurf account somebody makes, if they go for the full collection, which they should, if you're making a Smurf for the competitive reason, then you're basically just giving more money to the devs, and hey, that's a good thing in my book, because it means that Faeria can continue to strive and continue on to be a alive and kicking game. So yeah, I could never be mad about anyone doing a Smurf and buying full collection. I'll be like, yay, good on you. Do more. Like, hey, make 10 Smurfs for all I care. Like, that's great. Like, I don't mind. I think it's great.
This just in, Cappuccino is about to be made.
What? What? Which
Oh,
name?
Cappuccino.
Cappuccino.
Yeah. Okay, maybe that one's not as funny. Never mind.
I was like, huh?
Scratch that.
I'm sorry. But alright, so the monthly cup is happening. I was actually surprised. I didn't really pay much attention, and then I saw an official announcement oh, it's on the 10th September. I'm like, wait, shouldn't it be the 4th September?
Yeah.
Or wait, actually 3rd, because it's on a
3rd.
Saturday, right? Yeah, Saturday. So it should be 3rd. And I was like, oh, okay. So now it's on the 10th. So I'm not sure what the reason is there, why they're skipping a week, but
I'm guessing it's because of the reset. Right? Because the season reset, which is when they lock in the top 8 gods and when they do the community or the top vote.
Is that how it is? Oh, it's
closes,
the season goddamn reset that happens.
Closes on the first Monday, which is the 5th, instead of what would be tomorrow.
So that means it's gonna be basically the same thing next.
It gets delayed.
Next
Looks.
month
I was doing that too.
Yeah, it's always the following Saturday, or at least it has been so far. The
you're
following
right,
Saturday of the of the season ending, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. We actually forgot to add that to our notes. There's the ESL tournament series too. Yeah, I'll just.
Oh right.
Yeah, I'll just add it like a thing here. ESL. We'll mention it. I just want to get through this Faeria Monthly Cup. So next Faeria Monthly Cup. God dang it! Where did my calendar go? Is on the 10th. We're now at the 28th, so we have one more week with no qualifier, and we have so on the 10th basically. Yeah. All right. Which is great. That's 3 days before I go to Madeira. Da, da, da. I'm going on a trip. So yeah, who do we think will do good in this tournament? Cappuccino, will you win?
Well, I'm 0 for 3 or 0 for 2. Uh-oh. I gotta get lucky eventually, right?
Right. I mean, isn't that the thing, though, Cappuccino? You're basically here as the pro player, as one of the really top dogs. You've been in all the tournaments, I think, and you're always qualifying for the monthly cup. You're always top. Yeah, like we just said, you have 2 accounts in the top 8 on the ladder. You're obviously a very bad player, Kappa.
I prefer to just say 2 in the top 3,
2 in the top 3, there you go. Yes, 2 accounts in the top 3 of the ladder. It's just, so yeah, what I was getting at is that there's a lot of very good players. It's obviously very hard to win these tournaments. Or how hard is it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of strategy that goes into this. So when you're just playing the ladder, you can find one deck that's really powerful and just play it and do well with it, which is kind of what I've done. And in the tournament setting, there's a lot more to it, because you can say, all right, well, if my opponent's going to start with something like tokens, I can counter him with red AoE. Now, I think blue is actually kind of favored against red, so it's not the best example for this meta, but... if you think red burn just beats yellow rush, you can just start with red burn and say, now everyone that starts with yellow rush that wants to counter people that start with 3-wish, I'll be able to counter those people. And there's all this different mind games to it, yeah. And that actually happened to me. I started with yellow control in the last one, and Donkey eliminated me with his by starting with red burn and took off my yellow deck. And so there's a lot of strategy that goes into that.
And Donkey went on to win the last tournament, so.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, that's the thing. Like we talked about this in like whenever we talk tournaments and whenever we are doing commentary covering the tournaments as well. It's always, we always obviously state the fact that everyone in this tournament is insanely good. Like we're talking really good players, and several of them are in teams that consist of a group of players that are in this tournament, and they practice secretly together. They try and, like we just said here, they try these mind games. Like, okay, what do we think other people are going to bring? So what is like the strategy here? Which deck will be our primary deck that we start with, and what's the strategy then if I get beat with this? What's my secondary deck going to be? And it's really interesting, and I think it's fun that we so far haven't seen a single person win twice. Like we haven't seen the same person, basically win
even
twice.
make the finals.
Yeah.
Well, Sweetie got second. No, he got first place and third place. So Sweetie's been a repetitive player to do well, but I mean he hasn't.
He's the only one.
It
He's
twice.
the only one that's gotten, I guess, prize money 2 times. Then I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So that's just how hard it is.
Yeah, and even though we're seeing consistency with like the same names qualifying, it's not always the same results.
Oh yeah, because the meta usually change too. Like we see balance patches in between every tournament, so that obviously makes it a bit more difficult, but also it makes it more interesting and fun. I would assume, I don't know how you as one of the competitive players, Cap, would think of the balance patches, but isn't it a little bit more interesting to have different metas happening every month than being like, oh, it's exactly the same as last time?
Yeah, I mean, I really like it when cards change, because then it gives players the chance to adapt and find new things, and I think that's a lot of fun. So I like it.
Yeah. You don't mind. Like I guess some would say like, well, my chances to win money decreases when they do a balance patch, because.
Well, okay, I think there's a difference though. If it's a balance patch a day before, or maybe even a week before the tournament, that's a bit extreme. But if it's at the start of a season, it's a new balance patch, then that's a lot better, because then you have the whole season to test and play that balance patch in the tournament.
So we kind of had it in the middle this time. It was the 16th, but it was before
it got
the first qualifier. It was the same
though.
week as the first qualifier. You had 5 days or 4.
Yeah, I think that's a happy middle ground where you still have long enough in the season to feel it out and find the best deck for the tournament.
Yeah. Well, I like it. So, do we have any predictions though? Like, who do you dare to predict who's gonna be in the top, let's say, top 3 next tournament?
Oh man, who's gonna be in the top 3? Well, if I say anyone other than Apex, my team's gonna be a bit sad with me.
Who's the people in Apex now? It's you, obviously.
Yeah, me, Sweetie, and Helios Aflame.
Okay, so you 3 in top 3.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
But I know Donkey has done really well against me in matches, and as well as eliminating me last tournament. And I know Keen Dance has historically done really well. So if there's 2 people not in Team Apex that I were to root for, it would be Keen Dance and Donkey.
You know what? I would love those 2 in the finals. That would be awesome. Like, because I'm thinking storylines here. It's so nice. King Dance was like, I guess, the first. I mean, I don't know. To me, he came out of the blue because I had no idea how young he was, and I also didn't know. I mean, he was the first person to win prize money in Faeria. He won prize money in the first tournament with prize money in Faeria, beating a life coach. So it was just pretty epic. It was a cool series. It was just. It had everything. It was awesome. And that kind of started the whole, I think, what I would consider the esports scene of Faeria. And we've seen some amazing players like Sweetie win. But even then, I somehow, I don't know why, but I feel Donkey74 is, I don't know, to me he's an amazing champion. Everyone here is amazing, but he's just, I don't know, for some reason to me, I really appreciated the way he played and what he did in the last monthly cup. And I don't know. I would like to see Donkey versus King Dance somehow. I don't know why. I just have that matchup in my head that I want to see, and I can imagine it being epic.
And then you see the bracket and they face in the first round or something like that.
Right. Well, at least they face, but that would
Yeah.
be sad. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. We have no idea how the bracket's going to look like yet. But
Well,
it's yeah.
Some of the seeding for the tournament is preordained. Like, they have the top 8 gods split up. So the top 8 gods won't ever match against each other in the first round. So as long as King Dance and Donkey are within the top 8 range, then they won't meet early, or at least not in the first round.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. What do you think, Cappy, about the seeding? You think that's good?
Oh, I think it's great, yeah.
Yeah. Because there was a lot of feedback and discussion about the whole setup of the tournament after the first monthly cup on Discord. And I remember seeding was a big topic, like how, different ideas of how they would seed. And I think they found a good middle ground there with not seeding everyone per se, but just doing a little bit of like, okay, these guys don't face in the first round and stuff like that. I think that's good.
Yeah, because like you don't want to see the invited players just destroyed in the first round to the top god ranks, and then you also don't want to see 2 of the god ranks who, like you said, would create a good storyline, them face each other and eliminate right away just because of random seeding. So
all right.
Yeah, just to clarify that a little bit, so that the top 8 gods are all split up. Now 1 and 2 are the furthest away from each other, so that technically the 2 best players on the ladder don't meet very early, and they're really far away. And then the invited players are then split up across the brackets to try and avoid just the top 8 gods in the first round. And then all of the people from the qualifiers are just randomly seeded in to fill in the gaps.
Yep.
And if you qualify,
so that's the lottery.
Yeah, if you do make it through the qualifiers and you still manage to get number 1 god or something as well, you'll be seeded as if you were the number 1 god.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, again, like, okay, so which do you prefer? I know what Cappuccino prefers, because he prefers to cast the qualifiers and then just be in the top 8 to qualify, right? But like, yeah, what's the preferred choice then? Is it like, if you can feel confident to be in the top 8 gods at the end of a season, that would be the best way to get into the tournament, right?
Yeah, the ideal situation for like a team, for example, is me, Sweetie, and Helios to be number 1, 2, and 3, because then we're the furthest away from each other.
Yeah, exactly. But what happens then? Like, I guess, because I actually should know this. I think I know. King Dance qualified through the qualifier. He's in the top 8 gods. So, does it mean that, like, in which order do they pick? Like, will he get the seed from the top 8 god ranks and somebody else from the qualifier gets in? Or is he in by the qualifier?
So what would happen is, let's say that there's 8 different people in the top 8 gods, and only one of them has made it through the qualifier, so King Dance. Now, in that case, it would just grab the 9th player person, and his seeding would be based off just random. Because King Dance, despite making it through the qualifier, has claimed that seeding from being in the top 8, and the number 9 guy just gets randomly seeded.
Okay. So so he took the spot in the qualifier, but he gets but the next guy they pick is from the ranking then. All right. So that doesn't pick from the qualifier. All right. Well, that makes sense.
He gets his like god rank spot, but then the 9th gets his qualified spot. Basically, that's the way it would go.
So much technical terms. It's a puzzle. I'm just like trying to wrap my head around it now that we're talking about it, and I'm like, oh man, Atmos has so much work to do. Like, you can imagine he spends a lot of time on this. All right. So what do we think of the announcement about ESL picking up Faeria? I guess it's more a partnership than they are picking it up. But yeah. What do we think?
Yeah, I mean, it's more cash tournaments available for people to participate in, which is great. The only thing that kind of sucks about it is, if you want to keep a list hidden, like let's say you found this deck that's really broken or really, really powerful anyway. If you play it in the Sunday tournament, and you win like $150 with it. Now everyone knows about it for the $3,000 tournament. So it's like.
So yeah, do you practice your better decks in another tournament for a little bit of money, or do you like, yeah, what do you do? That's a tough one.
Yeah. So I kind of. Sorry, I just kind of wish the money was a bit more spread out. It wasn't so lopsided to. Okay, maybe you shouldn't care about the Sunday tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're looking at Faeria here as a growing game, and I mean, esport is such a big part, and you know, if you want to grow a pro scene, I don't know. It's hard. I don't want to argue that players have to be able to make a living for there to be a pro scene and such. Obviously, there could be a pro scene in any game where people are just, you know, competitive and such, and they play on their spare time. But obviously, the dream here is that, you know, some of the top players are, you know, there's enough tournaments, enough prize money spread out enough that they can argue that, you know, get sponsors in maybe, but, you know, maybe at least make a living. I mean, because people think esport players make a good living. They don't. They make a living playing games that they love, usually, unless, you know, they win the international. But, you know, like I'm just generalizing here that, you know, esport players or pro players in other games like StarCraft and big games like that, they don't earn like a high salary, if you know what I mean. And if Faeria is to ever grow into such a place where we can see at least some players being like, hey, I'm such a good Faeria player that I'm doing this full time, the prize money need to be spread a little bit, just like Kappa says, and obviously then playing in the ESL Cup for $150 isn't gonna pay the bills, is what I'm getting at. But there is, I think it was like, what, it's like 3 cups and then there's like a $400 at the end of the month, right? So it's at least a little bit more. There's $400 in one of these.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it actually says on what is Go for Faeria. I'm gonna read the second part. The weekly cups take place every Sunday from 1800 CEST and ensure a great and packed action within it. All players earn ranking points that help them qualify for the monthly final, where they have the chance to win a total of $400. So I'm not sure how it. I don't know when the monthly final is. Maybe it actually is. Let me check the fourth one here. Prices. Okay, so yeah, it's not these. So there's 4 cups here, and apparently there's a 5th monthly final with $400 in it. So you earn ranking points as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like a setup as a circuit. The way like circuit points work, right?
Yeah. So it's a little bit more money in overall, but I'm still not sure if it's enough. Like Cappy said here, the monthly cup has $3,000 plus the bounty prices, right? So that's like, was it $150 per head, right? So it's like 3,300 then total. If you, I mean, you don't win that, but that's the price pool, I would say. I'm just looking at the Go Faeria Cup number 1, which is on the 4th September, which is the next Sunday. I have no idea if I actually haven't looked close enough. Maybe the information is here, but I actually have no idea where this is going to be casted or streamed. I'm assuming ESL is covering it themselves or something. I'm not sure actually, but anyway, it's 28 players has signed up already. So
nice.
We'll see how many of them actually turn up, but it feels promising with 28 players already. I see Sweetie, Thormond, King Dance. Kenthic, Infiltrate, who else is in here? I think I actually saw Nightingale here. Yeah, Nightingale. Yeah, there's a lot of good players in here. So, I mean, for the first one, it looks promising. We'll just see how many actually show up and how it goes. I'm looking forward to see where actually you can watch it. But it's next Sunday.
Yeah, I guess if it's not streamed, then maybe you don't have to worry about hiding your list that much. But
you're still going up against players you might face in the monthly cup, though.
Yeah. But if they don't know how many tech cards you have, like if you Falcon Dive a creature, do they play on you having 3 or 1? So
yeah, they are linking to they're linking to the Faeria Discord server actually on the page here. So it could actually be that it's gonna be that Abrakam is gonna stream it on the Faeria TV channel, but I haven't heard. I haven't heard anything about who might do it or anything like that, so I actually have no clue. We'll see. We'll see who's there. I'm available, I think. I'm not playing it, so I'm available. I think. Again, I'm like, well, I'm not available every week, but I'm available next Sunday. But yeah, I guess that's the very end of this entire podcast. Like we've just been running. I'm running out of steam, definitely. But is there anything you guys would like to add to anything?
No, I think we covered all the topics that we had set.
Yeah.
It's been a
All
very
my notes.
very good episode. We've gone through a lot of things, and it's been a pleasure to have Cappuccino here as the guest. Very good insight, very good knowledge.
Thank you.
And thank you, Scorch, for being here as always.
Yep.
And thank you, Scream112. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you for setting it up. Yes.
I'm
We
just
wouldn't be
thanking
here
myself.
without you, so
Oh.
always thank the host.
And thank you all for watching live on Twitch and on YouTube. This comes out most likely tomorrow night sometime. I guess I should start doing this, like hit the like button, hit subscribe, all those things. I guess you can't like on Twitch, but you can definitely follow and subscribe. So yeah, once we roll the credits, I will be back and probably just do some more Faeria solo content, because I want the card back. And I want to play. I actually enjoyed it now that I made like a fun, crazy little deck that I was running in. I was like, I don't want to bring like a competitive deck, or like I just want to enjoy it, so I'll play something silly. But yeah, Cappuccino, you can just throw your link in Twitch if people want to go follow you. Cappuccino streams a lot. You guys should totally check him out. And yeah, hopefully we'll have you on the show again in the near future. And obviously,
Yep.
that was a trick. I fooled him. It's alright. People can.
You got me.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not think about that. Oh, whatever. Yeah, you can link it again if you want. All right. Thank you, Cappuccino, so much for showing up. It's always great to have people from the community being here, sharing their thoughts, views, ideas, and everything. And yeah, we'll see you on the stream, in a tournament, casting. We'll see where we see you next. That's where you say something.
Oh, sorry. I had something in the background really loud. I missed what you said.
I just said that we'll see you on a stream, in a tournament, casting. We'll see where we see you next. Yeah, I think that's what I said. That sounds like
glad
that.
to be here. And see you guys next time.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.
So yeah.